how old were you when you were down trimming weed in Mexico?
Okay, I'm gonna say the first time I remember actually touching the weed, I went down there when I was about 6. What he would do is load the Winnebago up. He had a compartment. My father would put hundreds of pounds of weed.
So he would drive it across the border with you guys in the Winnebago.
Man, and we'd be sleeping on, it was crazy.
Right.
We would literally be sleeping on weed, dude.
We're talking millions of dollars a load now.
Oh, it's no doubt. Now
Wow.
I need to find something to do with the money.
George Day is the biggest drug kingpin in the history of Washington, D.C., even more than the late Rafel Edmonds. Unlike Rafel, George was the importer, smuggling in thousands of kilos of cocaine from the Bahamas every week on private jets, speedboats, and even commercial flights. George was raised with drug trafficking in his blood. He helped his father smuggle in tons of marijuana over the border from Mexico when he was just a little kid. And for the age of 15 until his early 30s, George ran a cocaine empire that spanned all 50 states. In 2003, he was arrested and sentenced to life plus 90 years in federal prison. That story is so wild that we had to do a separate episode, so tune in next week for part 2. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is one of the most prolific but unknown drug kingpins in America, and you're seeing him here first. It's George Day, right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell. Dude, you guys are in for a treat this week. George Day is one of the most fascinating people I've ever spoken with. And as you're about to see, he was that dude. I've spoken to a lot of kingpins, but he really was the connect. Do me a quick favor. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on the alert bell. And if you love this conversation as much as I loved having it, drop a comment and smash that like button. It really helps us out. All right, you guys, I love you. Enjoy it. George Day. George, great to have you here, man.
Hey, thank you, man.
I don't
It's a
usually
pleasure to
feel
be
the
here.
tingling excitement before an interview, but I feel it now.
Okay.
You're the son of immigrants. Do you think, they say immigrants tend to do better a lot of times economically?
Yeah.
I think they do better as drug dealers too.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the old school cats. They know how to put their money up. They're kind of like blue collar dudes.
Right.
They don't f their money off like, American born cats from the hood.
They run it like a business. Yeah.
So tell us about your father. Tell us where you grew up, and I mean, this is gonna get crazy very fast.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it need to start with my father. My father's name, the one we know him by, was George Henry Day. Now, if you look him up, and I've done it a million times. I've even went to South Carolina, and I couldn't get his birth certificate because it's not real. He's on my birth certificate as George Henry Day, and his birthplace was South Carolina, but he was not born in South Carolina.
He was born in Jamaica.
He was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and he didn't come here. He was born in 1922. He got here when he was 17.
Okay.
Yeah, so he came in like, what's that, 39?
Wow. And he was already in his 50s by the time he had you.
Yeah.
You're a 70s baby.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
a 70s baby. So, and when he passed, he was 63. But he met my mom. My mom wasn't even born yet when he came here. My mom was born in 47.
Gangster, bro.
Yeah.
Your dad would have been in the Epstein files today.
Yeah, ain't no doubt. So it's like, man, when they finally met, my mom had a child already by, it was a preacher, a greasy preacher dude named Reverend Ike. Everybody should remember him.
So your mom liked the brothers.
Yeah.
Because your mom was white.
Yeah, she was, definitely. They used to call her white girl. You know what I'm saying? But we called her Big Shirley.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So, and when did your father, to your knowledge, get into the weed business?
Oh, man. Well, I know I could remember back to the earliest I remember going like out of the country with him in that Winnebago. And he had a yellow van that he used to drive at first. Then he bought the Winnebago. He bought it new. It was very nice. We had a kitchen and everything.
Right.
I was about 5 or 6.
Okay. Do you think even before you were born, he was getting things rolling?
Ain't no doubt. He used to hang out with a guy that introduced him to my mom named Sonny Reds. That's my uncle. And he's my Aunt Rosa. She had a daughter by him named Kenya. And he raised her sons. Her sons, my cousins, their last name was Jones. It was like Richard Jones, Russell Jones, and Tony Jones. Those were the guys, like, they weren't, I'm gonna say, well, Russell was. They weren't gangsters though. Like, they were men. They boxed. Them dudes. They used to go to the gym. They taught us how to box. In DC, you'll see we got a lot of fighters. A lot of champions came from there. A lot of boxers came from there.
Right.
So, But, you know, we grew up fighting and we grew up in D.C., you know what I'm saying?
What part of D.C.?
Well, when I was younger, we was living on 10th Place, and then we left from there, and then we lived uptown for a little while. And when my father had something happen with a police officer at a job site out in Virginia. He had stabbed a police officer with a pitchfork or something because my father started a construction company, you know, when he first got here. So he used to build houses. I'm gonna pull that up. I was pulling it up, but he stopped building houses. He started getting government contracts. So he started building schools, and he was building a school way out Virginia, way past Glebe Road. I knew it was like out by the end of the line, like the subway line. It was like the orange line, but it was like Vienna, Virginia somewhere. And, you know, it wasn't really a lot of, back then in the 80s, man, it wasn't really a lot of black, especially men that had like dreads, you know, know, he eventually cut them off and just wore a bush because he realized he had to get Americanized, and they was, you know, he couldn't afford to keep getting pulled over, snatched out the car. So he eventually cut them off. So
he was a builder. He had a construction company.
It was legit, yeah.
Okay.
But he couldn't read or write. So the thing was, at a young age, I was diagnosed with ADHD, but my mom would never let them put me on Ritalin. My mother didn't believe that. You know what I'm saying? You know, in a black household, you know, they beat that out you. You know what I'm saying? No, I didn't understand. I did. Now that I'm older, I realized that I didn't understand social cues, but I learned them quick. Because when you got a mother that slaps you or do something to you every time that you do something wrong, you learn quick to get it right. You know what I'm saying?
So your mom hit you like a black woman.
Oh, my mom, she definitely was. My mom, like, we used to be like, Mom, like the things she said, she was a good woman. Like the funny thing is she's the matriarch of the family, and she treated, and all of my cousins say that their moms did the same thing. And I think it was because of the way they were raised. Because like down the country, you know, some weird stuff happened, you know what I'm saying? And people like my grandmother, she was like, not the fully Caucasian one, but she was fair-skinned too. I want you to show, you know, we're gonna see that. You'll have that.
So tell us about your dad. When do you think, so he was getting the weed going in the 70s when it was really starting to boom. Jamaica was exporting a ton. It was basically Jamaican and Colombian weed mostly, and also Mexican weed later, which was better. But the iteration of it is the Colombian weed and the Jamaican weed. So was your father, what did his hustle look like? Was he actually importing directly from the islands?
He definitely was going back over. Now, I know I went to the islands a million times, and even as I was growing up, you'll see from my case that I stayed over there all the time. Because,
in Jamaica? Yeah,
I went over there in the Bahamas, because what they did, my family over there, all of them are into the drug trade. The drug trade is normal life over there. Because people don't realize that, you know, like on the island, when the helicopter get on them boats, like, I got stories to tell you about that, but when they get on the boats or weed boats or whatever, back then, they couldn't afford to have a super fast boat. They couldn't get the $40,000 engine to put on the back of it and outboard and, you know, they couldn't do what 90 used to do from the Bahamas. You know, that came later. Them dudes had $100,000 to put in a speedboat, but when their engines got shot, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they took holes in the boat. That weed, it's gonna float right up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he started way back when, you know, we was younger, but they had like the regular boats, but then he started using cruise ships. You know,
how would they get the weed onto cruise ships with like people on vacation?
They had family members, if you think about it, on all of the Caribbean cruises and stuff like that. I'm only saying this now, things that I'm telling you, nobody, if they're still doing it, they're crazy, because we went down for this like 2004, 2003, something like that. So, and this, trust me, if they know about it, they waiting to get them. But on cruise ships, they're not as strict with luggage and things like that, security and things like that. Not back then. And in the 80s, it was open season, man. Like, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. I just believe that they did the same thing we did. They had somebody in customs and they paid them off.
And so how much weed could you get onto a cruise ship?
Oh man, they used to have them in boxes, like these boxes, like mechanical stuff would come in for the boat, or they act like it was an engine that was being shipped. Because people don't know, even back then, those cruise ships and things like that, they carried freight too. You know, people didn't understand. They didn't when they had a light cruise and things like that, and even private planes. You know, people don't know this, but you know, it'd be drugs on them planes, man. It'd be stuff on them planes. Nothing leaves those islands without drugs on it. Please, and understand the money is the same way. You'll see later on, I ended up doing it, not knowing the same thing that my father was doing back then. I would do. He used cruise ships, and they would use the boats to come over, but they would lose 60. Sometimes they get 60 and lose 40%. He used to complain a lot, but it was cheap weed. It didn't matter.
Right. Okay. So then if it launches from Jamaica or the Bahamas, where is your father unloading it? Like, where does it port?
Well, everything had to eventually make it to Nassau or Bimini. Those are the islands that at night, you can stand on the Miami shoreline and you can see them. Now, people don't know it's over 300 islands over there. We've used, and I know he did too, because once the drugs come down the Panama Canal, they come up the Panama Canal, then they come in, they hit the islands Bimini, Eleuthera, Freeport, and Nassau. Now, Freeport and Nassau were more developed. Now, people would think that's better, but by the time you make it to Freeport and Nassau, it's scot-free. If you made it there, then that's where you want to be at. But most guys couldn't afford to go there because they didn't know it's factions that you had to pay. And like if you had to drop a load, what they would do is drag it. You know, I used to see these things. They would weight the bags down. They would suck all of the air out of it, and then they would weight it down with weights, and they would drag it. That's why they needed to go fast boats. But my father and them, you know, of course they didn't do it back there in the old school, but so that they can drag and they can cut the line and it'll drop, and then they'll hit the airbags. But that's what we did, and it brings the weed back up. And then if you lose it,
and then who goes and grabs the weed when it's floating?
And that's the thing. Sometimes you don't have anybody to go. If the beacon has gone off too long or the battery goes, the bags blow anyway. So they'll come up, and that's how most of the factions in the Bahamas got on. Because once those bricks break up, they float and they come to shore. And the kids run out, grab the keys off the beach and take them to the local people. And then they'll collect as many. And whoever the drug lord is, like during my time, it was 90. But during my
was 90?
Yeah, it was a guy named 90. He was.
Right. And these are just Bahamian gangsters that basically got on by stealing the floating drugs from whoever owned them.
So eventually, the big drug cartels would come later and buy them back, or then tell them, look, man, how about we just give you the drugs? And then they became
I see. So your dad's route, your dad, his plug started in the Bahamas when the weed already made it up from Colombia.
There you go.
Or Jamaica.
And he would ship the family weed up to the Bahamas, and then whatever the Colombians brought in, you know, and it was some that Fuentes guy, I don't know. He was somebody later. I didn't really deal with the only Mexican guys that I dealt with that I knew that I liked when I grew up that I actually knew was Pablo. And that the only reason I knew that he had something to do with marijuana because he had it outside. It was everywhere. He would take us to these fields and it would just be there. I learned how to trim it there. That's where I really learned how to grow weed. You know what I'm saying?
So you learned from Pablo Acosta, who, if you watch Narcos Mexico, he basically was the drug lord who had the Chihuahua. Ojinaba is the town, but he owned that whole plaza.
Yeah, but my father was, him and him they were real tight. I mean, I didn't understand it. They used to insult each other all the time, but they loved each other. You know what I'm saying?
So your father brought you down to meet him in Mexico.
He used to leave us down there, man. Me and my brothers, when they were little, man, I got pictures of us down there. We used to call it going down the country. But we would literally be down there. And this is being down in Texas and being in Mexico is how I got bit by that longhorn tick that made me allergic to meat my whole life. I couldn't,
Oh, you got...
I had got Lyme disease. I had alpha-gal allergies.
Okay, tell us about the drugs, dude.
Okay, yeah.
What the was going on? How old were you when you were down trimming weed in Mexico?
Okay, I'm going to say the first time I remember actually touching the weed, I went down there when I was about 6, but I remember my 7th birthday, I spent 3 weeks down the country, down my mom's way. Then my father came and got me in a yellow van, and then we drove back to D.C., got in a Winnebago, and I thought we was going to New York like we always do. And he was like, nah, we're going to be gone for a while. So my mom was like really mad because I was getting pulled out of school, but I was always ahead of my work. So my father would get the work sent, and I would get maybe a week or two, but we would always stay for like a month and a half. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes longer than that, because then we would leave Mexico, go through Texas, then we would stop. Sometimes we would go to Arizona. It was just, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, I just liked it. You know what I'm saying? I was spending time with my pops, but we spent a lot of time on the highway, and what he would do is load the Winnebago up. He had a compartment. It looked like a transmission case now that I know that when I started moving freight. But they would put it into the floor. They would remove things and pull things back. And I remember them saying they had to extend something for it to fit, but they would fit it around like it was a shaft that would turn, and they would fit this box around it. And the only thing, the weed that would be around it would get brittle because it would get hot right there in that one spot, and sometimes it would melt through the little plastic box. Later, they put it like a metal case in there, and I understood it now. It was the drive shaft, and it would just grind on it sometimes, and it would heat up the box. But anyway, my father would put hundreds of pounds of weed in, and they would shrink wrap it. Some of the stuff was, I would think now that I know, the Colombian stuff was a little better, but the Mexican weed was packed. It was brown, you know what I'm saying? But back then, that's all people wanted. It wasn't no whole bunch of classes.
So he would drive it across the border with you guys in the Winnebago.
Man, and we'd be sleeping on, it was crazy. Right. We would literally be sleeping on weed, dude. You know what I'm saying?
But that's a great cover. I'm just taking my sons on a road trip.
We would go fishing.
Right.
He'd bring the fishing rods and stuff like that. He had a fishing cooler in the Winnebago. He could show them, man. We'd go out there and catch some fish, though, man. We'd catch 50, 60 fish. We was kids. That's all we loved to do, play in the water and catch fish.
And so it sounds like you were, during harvest season, you were down there helping. Were you working with other Mexicans trimming the fields?
That's where I met somebody. He called his grandson, but I mean, who knows? It probably just was one of the migrant workers' kids. But I didn't know no better, man. They was my friends, man. You know what I'm saying? I would learn they taught me some Spanish, but they would always teach me the nasty stuff, had me saying stuff to the women that I shouldn't have been saying, But
did you know what you were doing, trimming you were in the wheat fields?
It was flowers, and I would see some of the older guys take it and roll it up in this long leaf. It was a green leaf, and I would see them. They would break the leaf off. It would be white paste in it. I just remember they would use the paste to seal it. Then they would dry it, and then they'd smoke while they worked. But I just wanted to learn, so,
Were they smoking cocaine? Was that the paste?
Man, let me tell you, no. What they used to do with that, they used to chew on the stalks, but they would roll it in the leaf. My father and them, they call it a spliff.
Oh, like Jamaica, like how they do in Jamaica.
Showed them, it was like a banana leaf or whatever, but they would roll it up. But the older guys used to smoke that with my father, but he would never let me touch it. I never could, but my father, I couldn't breathe that good anyway. He smoked like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So,
Wow.
But he would put all the weed in there, and then we would drive on back across, man.
Okay. So now he's got hundreds of pounds of weed. And does he take it back to D.C. or is he making stops?
Stops, yeah, and that's what he was doing. See, later on, I talked to my mom, like when I caught my case, my mom, we're a little bit before that, but she told me some stuff when I was 14, but my mom was always a church-going woman. She was strict.
Mm-hmm.
She was a good mother, made sure we was fed. We always had new furniture. Even if we lived in the hood for a minute when my father was dealing with something or had to go on a run, we had it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We was good. We never did without it. She always had to help other people. So my mother used to, she explained to me when I was 14 that, your father's crazy. I couldn't stop you from getting into it because she wanted to move me down the country.
Right.
And she did that. We'll get to that, though.
So your mom didn't really approve of what your father was doing?
Well, I'm going to say this. She loved the money, So you know how it is.
You're talking about women.
Yeah, and so in the beginning, my mom was a gangster. She toting guns with them and hanging out, they partying. And then my Aunt Irene had a sick, my cousin Katina, she passed, but she had a sick child. They thought she, in a children's hospital in D.C., misdiagnosed her and they was treating her for something. So this right here leads to why my mom started, having, it never got in the way. But my cousin Katina got sick, and so everybody started going to church to try to, black people, right? God, please, and it worked. I mean, she was supposed to die, by the time she was 5, but she ended up living until she was 49. So, but it eventually caught up to her because what was really wrong with her, whatever it was, her mom did something with the insurance And it kind of got messed up where she couldn't sue, but Children's had to still take care of her for the rest of her life. So anything that happened to her, but that's how my father, my mother started getting at odds with my father.
Oh, I see.
But she never didn't mind. My father just kept it away from her.
So, and he's still running his businesses.
Yeah,
like part of your story is like you're always into legitimate real estate and companies. Do you think your father's business was just a front to wash the weed money, or was it actually a profitable on its own?
He was and people will tell you I'm gonna show you a lot of the things he built. Like I said, he built schools. It was George H. Day Construction, and when you look it up in the DC records, you'll see. Honestly, I don't even know if it was because he died before he could dissolve it, but I'm sure it's done now. But he had a lot of government contracts. He made good money. I think he was taking his damn. The construction money and building that up, if anything, because he was a gambler too. My father gambled. My uncle name was Sonny Reds, and everybody know him. All of the old heads knew him. These dudes would have been in their hundreds by now, but them dudes were gangsters. He had all of the body shops around the city and things like that. But
I wonder why felt like he needed to be in the drug game if he was doing well.
Because he had to keep sending stuff back to Jamaica. He used to always buy barrels of clothes. And, it's like you taking care of the whole family over there. They wasn't paying them nothing over there, man. Yeah, they might be working in a hotel. And back then in the 80s, my mom. She didn't have to pay no bills. So think about it. If she was making $375, maybe $425 an hour at a dry cleaners out Virginia, just to be having something to do, to have pocket money, if she just always wanted to get out the house. My father said he ain't don't never let a woman lay around the house, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because that's when she get in trouble,
Today's episode is brought to you by Ava. You guys have heard me talk about Ava before. Ava is a credit building app that's designed to work fast and help your credit score where it really matters. So your credit score can start climbing with almost zero effort. Here's how it works. Ava reports all of your on-time payments in real time to all of the major credit rating agencies. And now, Ava can report your rent, utility, and phone bills automatically, even up to 24 months of past payments, so your everyday payments help build credit faster. Check it out. Ava members improve their scores on average 30 points in 30 days. That means in 3 months of using Ava, your life can be turned around. You got to have good credit in this day and age, and there's no better way to do it than with Ava. Ava members get access to all of Ava's credit building tools. There's no hidden fees or sneaky membership tiers. Ava keeps it low stress, low cost, and super transparent. They also have a credit card. Check it out. If you just need to get in the game and start making payments to build your credit, Ava can get you approved in 5 minutes for a $2,500 credit limit with no credit check. Take control of your credit today. Download the Ava app, that's AVA, and when you join using my promo code CONNECT20, that's CONNECT20, you'll get 20% off your first year. Again, grab the Ava app and use my promo code CONNECT20 so they know you heard it from me, and you'll get 20% off any plan for up to a year. That's promo code CONNECT20. Thank you, Ava, and now go and get yourself some good credit. So at this time, Heron is really big. Rafel Edmonds is the star now, the street star of DC, of course. Yeah, for sure. Did you know about him as a kid, as a jit?
I knew him because I'm gonna say this. I before I came today, I had to call a lot of my guys. Like most of them don't care. The ones that got charged, they really don't care because their name in the paperwork. But some of them I got to protect because the guy that I'm particularly talking about now, he's probably about to be. He wanted to be. I think he might become a minister. He changed his life all the way around, but he didn't really get touched by this directly. But anyway, I'll say this. I knew Ray very well. I knew him, but I was a child to Ray. All of them guys are like 10 years, 11 years older than me. Of course. And a lot of them, you're going to see from, if you look, when you look it up, I sent you a lot of paperwork, but all of the guys that I hung with, I was the youngest. Them dudes was like, some of them, when I was 20, they were like 35. You know what I'm saying? So I always grew up around the older guys because I was so serious.
Right.
So it's like I met Ray because I will just call him Squirrel. Squirrel, he knew everybody. Like he threw parties. He was always touching a bag. Like he was the first guy. Like in the 80s, man. I'm talking about like he trusted me implicitly. Like it was like he was my cousins and them friend. But I think, maybe him and my sister had something going on,
Did the drug dealers know about your father, or was your father invisible?
Well, let me say this. The thing about my father was him and Sonny and them moved different, and that's probably why I moved the way I did, and I didn't end up like Meech or, somebody that was real flashy. My father had nice things, but he always had a business to back it.
Right. But was he distributing to dealers in the DC area?
He was giving it to older dudes. Yeah, he was giving it to older dudes. He had a guy named Willie Davis he dealt with. He had another younger guy that was probably wasn't no more than like maybe, I know when I was 9, this dude was barely 20, man, but he had like big cars, like the biggest back then. People don't know, like in the 80s, I heard one guy say something about a 600. That was a lie. The 600 Benz didn't come out until 92. So in the 80s, he had to have the big 300. I don't know if it was the SE or the SEL, but I mean, I just never seen anybody have a car like that. My father was dealing with him, and I didn't know that. He was dealing with him. His name was Ronald Brown. The only reason why I say his name because he's passed on, and he was the guy that taught me a lot too, how to be. Like when dudes was wearing Versace and Gucci, Tony Lord's guys from my city that, wore that type of stuff. He was walking around with used jeans on, like acting like he was a broke guy, but he owned real estate all over the city. He owned 34 units over here in Southeast, and the projects that we hustling in, he owned them. And I was like, man, why you do this? He said, nah, I do this right here. This is the money that you have for backup. He said, I'm going to show you how to clean it, And that's why he was just showing me. He said, you always got to have a 9 to 5. You always got to have something to sustain your lifestyle.
That's what I mean, old school. Yeah. So, but your dad was basically the biggest supplier of weed in DC.
And he was starting, Ron, that's why I brought up Ron. My bad, sometimes I get ahead. He started, of course, Pablo. At first, Pablo was against cocaine. My father he used to talk bad about cocaine. One thing he never moved was heroin.
I was going to ask you that, because heroin was big in D.C.
Right, and Pablo Acosta, that was one of his things that he grew. They were
was poppy.
He did that. So my father didn't want to have nothing to do with that because he had a brother, my Uncle Chunk, that had got on dope real bad. And he didn't, so I hated dope too.
Right. So your dad didn't touch dope, but tell us.
But he snuck a load in before my father was mad at Pablo.
Right.
They didn't talk for like a year. I missed it because I used to go down there every summer.
So tell us what happened when you were 11 and your father passed. This is crazy. Now,
my father, he had some kind of he had a problem with his circulation in his legs. So it was either his left or his right leg would go numb, but sometimes he would just walk and it would just give out on him. So he went and got these doctors, and they agreed to come over, some island doctors. They came over and they did a surgery on him, experimental surgery that was going to open his veins up from the left because it was affecting his private life, in his private parts. And so he went and had the surgery and everything went good, We went to go see him. Let's just say it was a Friday, I got out of school Thursday. My mom said, come on, boy, we're going to go down and see your father. So we went to the hospital. We go down in it was at a hospital called Greater Southeast off of Southern Avenue in Southeast Washington. And it wasn't the greatest hospital, but it wasn't the worst. You know what I'm saying? The doctors came from overseas, so, it didn't matter. He wanted it done there. My mother didn't like it. But so he paid the doctors. They came and did the surgery. And that night before we came to see him, he was downstairs in his little robe, his house robe. My mom brought him, and he was saying, like, I'm coming home, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, yeah, man, your daddy be home, man, So I'm like, all right, cool. Everything, I jump up, I'm a big guy now. He still pick me up. My father good, he healthy.
Yeah.
All right, so just say the next day was Friday. So Friday come, I get out of school. I'm talking about, the bus was taking too long to leave. The school was probably a mile away. A mile ain't nothing for a kid, maybe a mile and a half. Man, I ran from Overlook, ran all the way home. He had just bought us a house, right before this happened, like 4 years ago. But he had just remodeled the house. It was 1226 Laundering Avenue. It's about 3 or 4 houses down from the fire department. So I never forget, I was running up the hill. I told my friend, Eric Ingram, he lay down on the corner. His grandmother, I used to stay the night over their house a lot. He ended up hustling with me later too. And I'm running up the street, running. So as I'm coming around the corner, I see, as you come up Launchmont Avenue, this hill is straight up. Like, people used to speed so bad, kids used to get killed on it. So I had to stay. My father always told me to stay facing the traffic. So I'm running up the hill. And I see all of these cars in front of the house. So I'm like, oh, my family here, my father home, all Big George home. So I'm like, oh, man. So I get up the hill. I tapped the mailbox 3 times. I had to do that, my autism. Pop, 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 run up the steps. And as I come in the house, everybody crying, where my father at? Like, get off me. Like, come here, boy, get off me. Like, where my father? I'm going through the crowd with my father. So I see my mom, she's sitting, like, as you come in, the house is weird. When you walk up the steps, you come in, it's my father built the front porch, it used to be a front porch. He closed it off. So he had a component set. The 80s, what I'm saying, the obligatory big component set thing with the TV. TV didn't work no more, so we had the other TV to sit on top of it, black staple. But they watching TV. They got the TV on, but nobody watching it. My little brother's already home, the ones that's in school. My youngest brother, Julius, he running around. He don't know nothing. So my other brother's looking all sad, so I see my mother. So you walk in, once you come through the porch area that's closed off now, then you come into the living room. It's a big, big old living room. Then the dining room, but you got the stairs to go upstairs to my mother and them bedroom. My father took the ceiling all the way up to the rafters, made it big, so they had their own. The whole top of the house was their bedroom. So I seen the door open, but I seen my mom's feet, and she had on this brown dress, something she was wearing to look nice for my father, and she was sitting up against the wall, I'll never forget. And we had this brown phone. I think everybody had this in the kitchen, with that long cord that come down. And she had the phone to her ears, and she just crying. And I walked in there, and she looked up, and she saw me. She was like, oh, my God. So I thought she was going to hit me. I didn't know what was going on. I said, Mom, where Dad at? And she just looked at me, and she was about to say something. Then she stopped. And it's like, when I seen her face, she knew it was going to crush me because I was my father's favorite. I was his first son. And she just like, man, your father dead, man. He died. I said, man, he ain't dead. I just talked to him. What are you talking about? We was just down there last night. So everybody trying to grab me. I was like, you lying. I'm going off.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. So I run off. 1985,
So did he bleed out from complications from the surgery?
This the crazy thing. The surgery was fine. He ended up getting some kind of infection in his kidney or something. No. And I don't know how they missed it, so, but my mom...
The cruel thing is that you imagine if they had hymns back then?
Oh, right. It would have been right.
I mean, it's so crazy.
Or any of that stuff. If they had that, goddamn, he wouldn't even have did that. And honestly, I think it was... I just wish, when I found out later what it was, I just wish he'd have just let that shit be.
Right.
Because, him dying, it put a lot of stress on my mom because, she ain't had nothing but a 3rd grade education.
Of course, and the whole family was relying on his
him.
work and his business and his other business, right?
Right, and he took care of everybody. Like, if anybody, my aunts needed anything, he got it,
Oh, I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah.
But now... it gets complicated because he's got a bunch of money owed to him out on the street, right?
And what I don't know, but my mom does know, because she won't touch none of his stuff upstairs. And, I'm going upstairs just, I'm in his stuff, I'm trying to wear the clothes that I can try to fit. I'm 11 now.
Right.
I'm about 5'10", what I'm saying? 5'11", I'm getting big. So my father was only 6, maybe 6'1". So, I'm trying on some of his clothes, but I see this little ledger. And I know my father, he was, it wasn't that he couldn't read or write. He can count very well, you know what I'm saying? But I think he was dyslexic like my brother Thomas ended up being. But he was a genius. He knew angles he could build, but he had a book and he had a way that he wrote, Didn't make no sense, but he taught me. So I'm looking at it. And I was like, it's something he learned in jail. It's like, like the grid on the phone, everything's different. If you just erase the lines on the outside, you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but you got the lines. Pay attention, the lines. This line is a backwards L. That's the 1, but that's the ABC. The middle line is a U. That's a 2, but that's the other.
Right.
He wrote that way.
Wow.
But even his numbers.
And he taught you how to read that kind of code?
So
wow.
It's like when I learned that, they talk about it in my case, my paperwork.
So how much was owed to him on that ledger?
On that ledger, it was about 7 and some change. But one of the guys,
what do you mean? So when you say 7,
like 700,000, because like I say, now he was into cocaine. He was. Okay. My father had 3 Cadillacs. He had a yellow one, a white one, and a silver or gray one. He gave the gray one to my stepmother, Lethea. My father was a polygamist too. I meant to tell you, that's something else that's in the court records.
Shocking for a Jamaican guy.
My mother only became the real wife by default because the woman he was married to in Jamaica died right before he married my mom. So, but all of the people he married Lethea way before. My mom didn't know, but it was no good because he was already married in Jamaica. So. Did
you know at 11 that he was into cocaine? Did you know what cocaine was?
Well, I knew. Only reason I knew what cocaine was because by 85, when I hear people say, "Oh man, crack wasn't in deep," yes, it was. And like I told you, my cousins we grew up hard and they was out in the streets. And
were you actually out hustling with them?
Well, no, I was outside watching it.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? But my cousin Russell, he was selling Deladas, he was selling pills, and my cousin Tony, he was into boxing and weightlifting and stuff. But we was respected because when we moved, it was 4 sisters that lived in DC. So you got to understand, all of them had 5 kids apiece. Right. So when they moved in the neighborhood, we moved in.
Right.
So it was like 25 of us around there. So
was your dad moving coke with Pablo Acosta? Was he the connect now as well?
And that's the thing. Okay. Pablo he kind of forced it on my father, but Sonny Reds, my father made a mistake one time and took Sonny Reds with us. And I don't think he really understood what Sonny wanted to do. And so when he took my Uncle Sonny with him, the coke started coming in. Sonny Reds was the powder man.
It sounds like Sonny Red was the distributor. Your dad was just the one who had the plug and helped him cross it.
Right. I remember my mom getting mad because, she didn't want him getting involved in whatever it was him. So the first time I seen some powder, and I knew it had something to do with my father because he would give me the briefcase and tell me, go take it to Sonny. But Sonny was also a bookie. So Sonny Red, but his main business was cocaine. I found that out young, but I didn't know what it was. I thought it was Bear, because the Bear aspirin back in the day, whatever it was, it used to have the powder, but he had this thing, like it was like cookie sheet paper, but it had like a girl on it with her hands behind her, like a white lady. And I knew it was a white lady because her hair was long, but it was like a black paper, but the lady would be leaned back like that. So, and it would be a line of cocaine going down her body, and it would be folded up. Russell went into Sonny's safe, and I think he gave away, dude, like a half a brick, man. He went outside showing off, and some guy named Cowboy. I never forget these guys. I hope these guys should be 70 by now. They shouldn't care, but, I think Cowboy and them tricked him out of it, or, Russell gave it to him, told him, man, it ain't nothing, Sonny came home, and it was crazy. My father come over, this, that, and the third. So they went and got the stuff back,
So you bring Sonny a briefcase of money?
Yeah, give him the brief. No.
This was the work.
The money was coming my father's way, but my father would lie and say that, or maybe sometimes he wasn't lying, but in the beginning he told my mom that he would hit a number. But he was lucky. He used to hit street numbers all the time,
Yeah.
But he would come in, and everybody in my family would tell you, man, if he was to I got another cousin that's real interesting.
So you were dropping off suitcases full of work.
Of work.
How many keys do you think were in there?
I know how many. Like a few times Sonny would open it, but now that I know what they were later, it was probably 10 at a time.
Wow.
He was giving everybody 5 a piece, but he was getting Sonny 10 of them.
And so you were 9, 10, 11 years old?
Yeah, and I would hand it, and Sonny would give me...
With 10,000 grams bags on you.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then Sonny would give you money in a duffel bag?
No, it wouldn't even... Sometimes it would be trash bags full of money. It would be duffel bags, and I would be dragging it out to my father. He'd see me. I get it to the car. With my father, he was like, anything I did, he gave me money. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So you'd have a bag with because bricks, what do you think your dad was giving
I know what they
bricks
was.
for?
I only knew this because when he passed, he ended up on 375, but they said it was for 15. It was 15 keys. He was paying about 25 a piece back then, and he was selling them to Sonny and them for 40.
So you would have like almost $500,000 in your little hand.
Oh, that was nothing, man. Wow. My family members will tell you, they used to help us count money. My father, he had it.
Did you ever count up with your family?
Yeah. I some the only people I trusted. I mean, when we get around to when I started doing it, you know, and how Robert Wilson took me down, you'll see. It was only money. He couldn't. I never let nobody see what the other person would do, and I talk bad about everybody.
Today's episode is brought to you by my favorite company on earth, Hims. Do you guys know erectile dysfunction is more common than you think? I've heard. I don't know nothing about it, but thank God there is treatment. Through Hims, you can access personalized prescription treatment options for ED. It is amazing. And they have access to all different kinds of product that cost 95% less than brand names. Hims is disrupting big pharma. It's amazing. And of course, this is all done online. You can get a prescription approved and have your treatment sent to you within minutes of signing up. It really is that easy, and it'll be delivered discreetly in a package to your door. This isn't a one-size-fits-all model, okay? It's your health and your goals put first. And not only does Hims have treatment for ED, they have treatment for weight loss. They have treatment for hair loss. They have treatment for women. You guys have heard of Hims. Everything that you need to get healthy, to circumvent the doctor and big pharmaceuticals is right here with Hims. Check it out. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and so much more, visit hims.com/connect. Once again, that's hims.com/CONNECT for your free online visit. hims.com/connect. You guys, I've been using them for years. They truly are the best company. You have nothing to lose. Check them out. hims.com/CONNECT. Now, here's a quick disclaimer. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription is required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. You guys, nicotine is making a comeback in our society, and I'm not talking about cigarettes. I'm talking about companies like Knick Knack. Check it out. Knick Knack is a fully dissolvable nicotine lozenge. It's a lip brick, if you will, made with just 6 premium ingredients. Knick Knack comes in 4 different delicious flavors in 3 and 6 milligram options. I prefer the 3 milligram blood orange flavor, okay? And what they are is they're mints, essentially. They're lozenges that you put in your mouth and dissolve before you go to work out, before you do a podcast like me, and it gives you that steady nicotine buzz. It has my brain firing on all cylinders. I couldn't do this podcast without it. So you got to go check them out today. We have an offer for you. Go to knickknack.com/Johnny. That's knickknack.com/JOHNNY and use code Johnny for 20% off. Or use the store locator to find Knick Knacks near you. Knick Knack, crush your vice and get that nicotine kick. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Okay, so you're 11 years old. Are there names, when you find this drug ledger, are there names attached to the amounts?
Yeah, it's names, but it's more like like for Willie Davis, he might have had like the number of his first name, like, you know, the letter. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, like how they say 12, you know, law, that's the 12th letter. Like he had, so, you know, Willie Davis, he had, you know, if it was the 26th, or he'd have a 26th then. So I knew it was Willie Davis, but I knew who owed the money. So when I'm going through it, what happened was somebody came by the house. And when he came by the first time, my mom was like, don't answer the, you know, it was like the Jehovah's Witness was at the door. But I didn't say nothing, but I kept looking and I'm like, man, this dude looks familiar. You know what I'm saying? It was a dude that, I told Mom it looks like a guy named Roach that used to be with, you know, my godfather, Pablo Acosta. So I was like, why would Roach, you know, why Mom not answering the door, you know? So the second time they came probably was about 2 or 3 days later. So I just went and opened the door, man. I went and got the pistol. My father had a .38. I'll never forget. I had some blue shorts. They was cut like you cut bologna when you about to fry it. I opened the door. I was like, man, what's up? And he was like, Little George, you know what I'm saying? And he went to punt. I stepped back and I was like, man, what's up? He was like, man, we need to talk. He was like, you know, you know, white girl here? And I'm like, nah, man, you know. I was like, what's up? So we sat down on the porch. I let him in. We sat on the porch. I went and got him something to drink. He used to always want something to drink, so I went and got him something to drink. And he was trying to explain to me that, you know, it was some business that we need. I said, man, just spit it out. You know, I'm like, what you need? we got some food, or, what you need? No, he was like, nah, man, Jorge owed us, some dinero, some money. So I'm just like, okay, I go in the house and I'm like, all right, I leave him on the porch. I go upstairs and I ask my mom, I said, Mom, it's Mr. Roach. She was like, she thought I was talking about Banks Roach. He used to live in our basement, but we put him out. I was like, nah, it ain't Banks Roach. I said, it's the guys from overseas,
Okay, so that's important. So these are the Mexicans.
Yeah,
that come to collect.
This is Roach, and Roach is but Roach is with a Colombian guy. They're coming because my father was always on time. He's never.
Okay, so hold on. Your dad was, I thought he was copping from Pablo Acosta.
Right.
Who was he getting
But you
his
got to understand by
kilos
now,
from?
Pablo going through some kind of war. He going through something down there.
Okay.
Because we not going down there. My father's not driving no further than either New York or sometimes we'll go to California or we'll come to Texas. He's not going back across the border.
Because they're in a war right now.
Yeah, and they were already trying to, other factions was trying to make my father, because he was doing stuff for Pablo, the little smaller guys were trying to force my pops to take, some guys he would help if they got an extra 50. I mean, I'll bring you some money for this later. But, but he owed them. He owed for the cocaine, that was the Colombians.
Okay, so he was dealing with Colombian cocaine.
Yeah, he was dealing with the Colombian cocaine.
Got it.
But they were still running it through Ojinaga. You see what I'm saying? So
I see.
My thing was, it was just getting hot. So we used to have to drive to different places. Sometimes we'd go to LaGuardia, so they try to switch over to planes. But
how were they getting the bricks in
to
your father?
When my father, I don't know how they got them in with him, but I know we used to drive up to New York. He would leave the Winnebago in a shop. It was a shop. They would always change the tires. Right. They would always open that compartment up, and they would put them in there. But the last time we went up there, we took the van. It wasn't as much. He didn't bring back the weed. Was kind of like fizzling out. Dude.
Right.
They was putting the weed in the side quarter panels on the van.
Right.
So, but the cocaine was going into the floor. There was little floor safes, and they would hold 10 here, 10 here. And then there would be 10 turned this way in the back. So he was getting 30. He was bringing back 30 keys.
Right.
So most of that was going to Sonny Reyes, but by this time, Sonny Reyes was dying of cancer. So Sonny couldn't get out there. So he had one of his runners, and I think that's what Ronald Brown that I was telling you about earlier. Everything always ties back together. He was giving each one of these guys, he was getting 30 here. He paid for 15. He told me, Roach said he paid for 15, but he still owed for 15. Okay. So
your dad was dealing with the Cali cartel. If he was going up to New York, first, probably, right?
Now, hold on. At first, he was dealing directly because the only person that Pablo would deal with at first, was Pablo. Everybody keep forgetting that. Like, the Cali cartel came in. They became big after they put the mix and, helped the government get Pablito.
No. They were big already. They were huge
they were
by
big,
that time.
But I'm talking about
but
us,
what was your dad going
up
up to New York to get bricks from? That wasn't Pablo Acosta.
Nah, he wasn't doing nothing with Pablo Acosta. Whoever he was dealing with up there, they just had a route. They was using their routes.
Yeah.
Those guys was moving that Colombian weed up there. That stuff was going up there, but he used to have to go there to get the weed and the coke sometimes, but he wasn't getting that much weed no more. He was only getting
That's what I mean.
now.
Who was bringing, it must have been the Cali cartel.
Yeah, they were Colombians. I just didn't know who they were. I can't honestly say that, but I can tell you later. They told me who it was, but I can't tell you back then that I knew because I was too young.
Okay, cool. So the Colombians show up. Your dad still has a bill out.
Yeah, and they want their money.
He's owed money and he owes money.
Right.
Okay.
So when I see the three names on there, is Ronald Brown. Ronald Brown came by. He was trying to talk to my mom, but she didn't know what he was coming for. So, she don't know nothing about that tablet. And back then, my father didn't tell my mother nothing. She didn't know nothing. So when he came, when I seen the list and they came, I was just like, all right, cool. I took the gun, put it in my back, put on my little jacket, and I got in the back of their car, made both of them sit up front, and I told them where to go. I took them to Willie Davis' house. Now, this is
wow.
The funny thing about, I used to call him Uncle Willie Davis, but he was a creep later, man. I found out later he was just a creep, But this guy told me, man, who was that in the car? So I was like, it's some people that came to the house. And I explained to him, I said, it's the people from over, I thought it was Mexico, but I didn't know the difference. He said, that one right there is Roach. I know him. I seen him before. He was like, who's that other one? I said, man, he Colombian. He was like, why you bring him to my house? I was like, well, why you didn't bring the money to my house, man? You know what I'm saying? If you owe my father, go get the money. And it's weird, man, because he took me down in this basement. It was like a little cellar. And they had nice houses. Them dudes was getting money. Even, I thought 25. Now the numbers for me, 25 was way high. But of course, they was making plenty of money back then. So he takes me downstairs and he had the same bag It was so crazy. It was like a revelation. Now I get it. It was always the drug business. He had the same bag that my father used to always pass back and forth to each other. But it would always have to be hundreds and fifties. Now I understood it's because they was taking the money back on the plane.
Right.
Back then, you could just put the money in your suitcase and
that's why the Colombians were like only 150s.
Right.
It was for them.
They couldn't take it, but really they just wanted hundreds. But but he had the money sitting there. So I was like, you wondering why I brought them to you, but I'm wondering why you didn't bring the money to the house, but you coming by the house trying to hit moms. So
they definitely, if you didn't have those Colombians with you, they definitely would have tried to not pay.
Oh, they would have played games. Why they gonna
course.
pay? I know my mom probably called him and told him she needed help. I mean, it would have definitely helped if he brought the money, the $200,000 you owe my father.
Right.
So we go there to get that. So he owed for 5. Yeah, he owed for 5 because remember he paid for 15. They sent 30. So he owed for 5. Ronald Brown, I thought he owed for 10, but he didn't. He owed for 5. When I got there, he was like, man, I've been trying to get your mom. Your mom, Big Shirley, ain't answering the phone. White girl won't answer the phone. So I get that bag. So I don't know. Like I said, we didn't stop and count it. They just give me the shit. I go back to the car, put it in the car, get in the car. We go to the next person's house. So it was crazy. So
and you got your gun on you?
Yeah, ain't no doubt.
You got the 11, you got your little 38 on you?
I got that little 38. It was stuffed in my back. Half of the time I get up, the damn gun and be in the damn seat. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great little gun.
I knew how to handle it though. It was a little snub nose. But I was gonna bust them too. I was scared. I wasn't scared. I just told my mom I'm not gonna keep not answering the door. Like these guys, I know these guys, but I didn't know the Colombian, but I knew Roach. So so we go to the last person's house. I can't say his name because he's still alive, but and he was gonna play things. So I went and got Roach. Roach had this little scar on his lip where it almost looked like he had a cleft lip. But what happened was somebody had caught him, was trying to do something. They said he slit his lip, cut his lip. It cut both of them, but this one didn't get cut all the way through. But so he used to look real menacing, and he was, So when we came up to the door, I told him, come on in, because, he acting like he don't understand. He kept saying he didn't owe this, he didn't owe that. So he showed it. He said, what does this mean? So I told him, it means 200. And I said, he said, are you telling me you only owe George, Big George, $200? He was like, hold on. So he went back and got the bag. He put like a couple stacks of money in there. I guess he was going to short him. But he paid the 200. So when we get back, I take them in the basement. My mom's hiding upstairs, and we count the money out. And they tell me, they honest. We counted out, I swear.
700 G's?
Dude, I'm talking about, I'm sitting here like, this is crazy, So they get their 375, and it was more like 6. But it was like to be sitting here and I'm looking like, okay, I got $225,000 left. And they was like, don't tell your mom, So, but I was cool. We had the drop ceiling in the basement. So my father used to hide stuff up there, weed and guns and stuff. So I just put the money up in the ceiling and I ain't say nothing. And I took like $5,000 or $10,000 and I took it upstairs. And, once they left, I gave it to my mom. I knew this was going to make her happy. And I was like, Mom, they said they're going to look out for us, Because my father was like, don't ever give your mother money. Don't give women your money because all they know how to do is spend it. You know what I'm saying? So I put the money up in the ceiling and I kept it up there. I didn't say nothing. They left. Now, when I look outside, the dudes had backed up. They was parked in front of the house, and we lived on a busy street, so they had backed up into the driveway, and I thought they was about to leave. So I come out there, I said, y'all need something. They was like, man, let me ask you a question. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yeah. So Mr. Roach talking, and the other guy speaking in Spanish, and then he was like, you think you can talk to those guys, those old guys? I said, man, he pretty mad at me. I said, but I can. And he said, you think they will see if they want to still do business? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay. So I they left. I ain't think nothing about it. So, they was gone for a minute. Then they called my mom, and my mom, I guess she's answering now. I'm telling her that they giving me money, but I just come give her $1,000 here and there, tell her that the guy pulled up on me and gave me money. But in reality, the money was in the ceiling downstairs,
So did you go talk to your dad's distributors?
Yeah, I talked to, what I did is I went and talked to Mr. Willie Davis, and I told him to talk to the rest of them. And Mr. Willie Davis, he talked to the rest of the old guys, and they at first they tried to work me. They did for a while. They was telling me that, they had a problem with the number. And, man, you a kid, this, that, and the third. So they was like, man, we could do it, but, can you come down on the number? So,
And they're asking a young child this.
But I didn't even understand that, I knew that they gave up $200,000, but then when I really sat down and did the math, I'm like, God, man, they was paying $40,000. My father was getting them for $25. He's making $15 per brick.
Right.
So I was like, well, it don't matter. I can probably knock 5 off, you
Right.
know. So I told him, yeah, I'll do that. You know what I'm saying? But when I go back and say something to the guy, I said, look, man, I had to knock off, you know, $5,000 if they didn't want to do it. They said, no problem, no problem. Your new number's 20. Like that, right? So I'm looking.
So now you got the joints for 20
so, but yeah,
brick.
but I don't understand. You know, it's like, I know it seems like it's something big, but I was a child,
And
man.
you're so used to huge money, it doesn't mean anything
but I'm
to
not
you.
touching it. So it's
Right.
like, it's not like they giving me the bricks. And, you know, when the stuff came, we set it up. So when it came, they would just leave a car. It would be a car. They would leave it. Mr. Willie Davis, and he'll come get it. He'll come get me. We go pick the car up. I give him the key. Boom, we'll get in the car, we'll drive to his house, go in the garage, we go in the basement in that little cellar, and then he'll break the bricks out, and then he'll make sure everything was what it was. He'll do this little test thing. I mean, he stopped doing that after a while because it was just good shit. So
Okay, so Willie Davis was the one who
the main
basically
distributor.
took all of it and gave it to his distributors. So how much were you taking off of each key?
Well,
if
at
you're
that
getting
time,
it for 20.
Yeah, but at that time I was taking about 15 because you got to understand they only wanted 20 and their number was 40. 35 was a great number for them.
Right.
I didn't know that they was taking each ounce, breaking it down and stuff. I didn't understand. I didn't know none of this until I met somebody later on in my time. This is still my
hang on.
father's time.
So you're making 15 a key, about 20 keys at a time?
30.
30 keys at a time. Okay, so that's about $400,000 or something like that?
Something close.
350 to 400 grand. Just and
Just for
how,
me.
how did you what stopped Willie Davis from just saying beat it?
Because my cousins would have blew his head off.
Okay.
And I probably would have did it. I didn't, you know.
Okay.
I was seeing some things by this time. It wasn't no playing with me. And I had seen some things when I was going to Mexico. Like my father, you know, I had to sit in trial and watch my father when he fought that stabbing on the cop. He beat it.
Right.
Because the cop was trying to beat him. But, you know, I seen some things.
But you had enough gangsters in your family to where you could have killed Willie if he got funny with
he
it.
would have got done. You know,
Right.
you know, I had a cousin that was married into my family back then, and he was no joke.
Wow.
Like, he was known in the city.
Okay. Did you have to wait for the keys to get sold before the
No, Willie Davis and them, most of the time you pay half. Like if at one time they was getting 5 apiece, three people didn't agree. You know, they didn't agree. You know, it was about 6 of them. But I didn't know. Like I said, I told you, I thought he had Ronald Brown, he had him down for 10. But Ronald had already paid for half. They always paid for half up front, whatever they bought up front. My father used to always spot them, you know.
Wow.
But my father would have never went down that number. I did though, but I didn't care. You know, I didn't know no better. I would just take my money and put it in the ceiling.
So you just keep adding hundreds of thousands of dollars every week, every 2 weeks to the ceiling?
These guys, like every month they would come and get their money.
Okay.
It was a month. It wasn't only when they up the number later when we get to that.
Okay.
You know, they came like, you know, 2 or 3 months, every 2 or 3 months. But every month they came for that money.
So you accumulate, and then you would make sure that the Colombians every month got their money.
Oh, and I made sure every dollar was turned the right way and everything.
So how much is the re-up money in total?
Well,
you
the
count out
re-up-
millions.
Well, for 15, it was $375 for the whole thing at that time, but it went down. So when they started charging me it was $600 for a 30. I mean, so it was cool.
20 a
It was
joint.
20 a joint, yeah.
So you count out 600 G's for the Colombians.
It was easy, man, you know.
And then you're putting 250, 300 in your ceiling.
putting it up
Do
in
you
the
know
ceiling,
how
man.
much did you
I'm-
accumulate? What was the most
Well,
money that
I'ma
ever got
tell
up
you,
there?
I didn't realize it started at first. My mom was getting scared, and you know, of course, my cousin Katina is getting better, so she keep talking about she want to move down the country. She met a guy named Silas, so I didn't realize until I had to move the money. And the ceiling was bulging, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And, you know, so me and my little brother Thomas, I had cut him in on it now. So I'm about 14. We about to have to move out of this house because, you know, it just ain't gonna work. My mom need to get my brothers from here. Thomas starting to play with guns. So I go up in the ceiling, I'm pulling down the little things and, you know, shoe boxes of money coming down. You know? So I didn't realize until I was about, I'm gonna say, I might have been 13, maybe 13 and a half, that I had well over maybe 1.5, 1.6 million, you know. And that was with my mom, like giving everybody money, doing stuff, you know.
Did your mom at this time know? She must have.
She knew about the drugs. She knew what I was doing.
But
She just didn't know
where
it
the
was
mother
on that
was.
level. I
She
never
didn't know where
told
all
her
that
where the
money
money,
was.
and I had to eventually get somewhere to start stashing the money, and that's where I started using storage units.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
My cousin told me I had to get it out of there because it started falling, and then my brothers was going to school with $100 bills, and you know we had to explain it, you know, just stupid stuff, you know.
So it's 1988. You're 14 years old.
Yep.
So how does the hustle grow from here?
So as soon as I think everything's going to go good, something happened in Southeast, and Ronald Brown I believe he got killed or something. And I came home. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, crap. This is the first time.
Ronald Brown's your distributor.
Yeah, one of the distributors. Mr. Willie Davis said he ain't been able to get in touch with him. And me and Ronald, he was close to my age. So he, me and him used to kick it. And I used to mess with my first wife. I met her around the neighborhood that he used to, in Briar Village. I met her around his neighborhood. That's where he's from. And actually, my ex-wife used to date his brother. But anyway, he got killed and my mom got spooked. Like, no, I don't want you involved in that scene. But it had nothing to do with that. Ronald Brown, like I told you, he owned a lot of like project properties, Section 8 properties.
Right.
So he would buy them for $1. He was telling me about all of this stuff. So I was always interested in it.
Right.
But he ended up getting killed. He had slept with a girl from around the neighborhood, put a baby in her, going to see his baby mother around his own neighborhood. And some guy robbed him and shot him in the head right by the hospital where my father died.
Wow.
So my mom gets scared. I want to go. And I'm like, this ain't a bad thing. Maybe she could move. I'm thinking if I move, it still don't matter. I still can keep everything going, but it didn't work like that. So my mom packed up the kids. She had met this minister guy named Silas Easley, anyway. And she moved down the country. I didn't want to go, but I had to, So my mom took us down the country. I paid the people before we left. And, we stayed down there roughly for about 2 summers, but it was only 18 months. So how that works out. Mm-hmm. We went down there in the summer, stayed a year, went to school, then started school the next year. The summertime came. After summer break, I got in a fight. We ended up having to come back to D.C. So within a 2-year span, we ended up having to come back. Now, when I was down there, I had already paid them the people. Now, they coming back, they looking. Mm-hmm. They still dealing with Mr. Willie Davis. You know what I'm saying? But Mr. Willie Davis now, Ronald Brown is gone. He wasn't doing nothing. My money, I wasn't getting nothing. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when we get back, they looking for us. So my mom, we come back, whoever my mom was renting the house to, her and Silas Easley, they break up. We come back to the house. We stay there for maybe a month. They don't show up then. We get a house. My mom and my aunt Irene end up getting a house together. This is 88 going into 80. No, this is 89 going into 90. So she get a house with my aunt Irene, and this off of Rosecroft Drive. And this is crazy because a lot of things happen at this time. This is when the drugs come back and everything started really shaking. So my mom, we come back from the country, and my aunt Irene buys a house in Fort Washington. It's a racetrack there called Rosecroft Racetrack. So when you're coming down the street, we the first house up on the left. So we got the whole basement, man. It's huge. This place got to be about 5,000 square feet, but it's the same. It's a Rambler, but it's the same on each floor. So if it's 2,500 feet up there, square feet is 2,500. So that's big for us. Like, we're like, cool. We just came from the country. So we down there. I got my own bedroom. My brothers got their own bedroom. It's big. My mom's bedroom. Then we got our own kitchen and all that stuff down there. But my mom cooks upstairs. So I just remember one day we moved in, but the family came over. It was nothing to move in, set up the house. And we was there for I probably went to school for probably like a month. And sure as sugar turned to shit, man. They knock on the door. I'm talking about, I don't know how these bastards did it.
Yeah, they always do,
they
right?
They always found us, man.
The Colombians.
Like, I swear to God, wow. Man. So I think Willie Davis, at this time, he had got sick. And basically my mom, I think him and my mom had messed around for a brief moment. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said I ain't really like the guy. But hey, whatever. He probably told him where we was at. But, he came back and he had another guy from New York. I can't even think of his name right now, but he had him with him. Mm. He was cool. He was like a Dominican guy, but he had him with him so he could translate and talk to me a little better. Right. So.
And did you still have a ton of this money?
Yeah,
that you were just lugging around?
And this is the crazy thing. I had to keep it clean with my mom, and I had to explain to her. So I told her, I said, Mom, you even gonna have to do something with this money. So by this time, my mom, she put a lot of it in the bank for me and things like that. But other than that, we didn't tell Silas. Everywhere I went, I had this metal box, and my mom had put like this bag in it. We would put the money in the bag, and then she would seal the bag up and then put the food saver thing, suck the air. I was like one of them old food savers. You take about 10 minutes to suck.
Right.
So, I didn't have a lot of money left though, believe it or not, man. Because down there, like when a tractor broke or something like that, you would have to wait for Silas to go back. He was working in D.C.
Right.
So he would go up there, do construction in D.C., come back home, and then on the weekend he'd come home on Thursday. He worked 4/12.
So you're just draining, the money's draining.
Yeah, so by the time we get back to D.C., man, I might be lucky if I got like 60 in my mother's account and maybe about 100, maybe 100 something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we've been fucking. I mean, we've been messing this money up, buying dirt bikes, stuff down the country. And the only thing I could get my hands on down there, it was a New York guy while I was down there for about 18 months. But about a year that I sold some good weed. They had the good skunk then, and his name was Q-Ball, man. I hope he's still alive. He is, man. What's up, Q-Ball?
Okay, but it doesn't matter because if you can move it, the Colombians just give it to you.
So they come back, boom. Now when I get back, everybody thinks that I'm bull jiving. So I run into the guy that I was telling you, the close family friend, when he brought the little Dominican guy. His name was Black. They called him Black. He was darker than me, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, cool. So me and him kicking it, So he was like, look, man, some things happened. Mr. Willie Davis, the dude Davis, he's no more good, man. Like, what can you do? I was like, man, let me call around. I said, I think I seen my friend, the one Squirrel. I said, I'm gonna call him Squirrel. We seen him, the family friend, and he was driving a nice car, this, that, and the third. And I was telling him I was just getting back up here, I told him what happened, and I was telling him about the situation before I left. I was like, man, you said you selling coke, he sold powder. So I was like, man, I got somebody who can get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can get it. But I think he thought I was playing. I said, man, my father was in. He said, yeah, man, I knew what your father was doing. I said, oh, okay, that's probably why he liked him. Never went further than that. But I was like, what's up? So he showed me some crack. So he was like, man, yeah, this is what I do. I know how to cook it up. So I was like, cook it up? Like, what are you talking about? Like, he said, I know how to whip. I know how to stretch it and make it be. I can stretch the powder or I can. He said, man, Shorty, if you really can do it. So I guess he was damn me. He was like, so if you really can do it, then I'm telling you, man, I can move 100 a month. And I said, 100 what, units? And he was like, yeah. I was like, man, ain't no way in the world. Like the most.
100 units of crack.
Yeah, powder, crack, whatever. It don't matter, but he's going to turn it into crack. So,
right.
Well, with the Colombians this time, they asked me if I could find somebody to move it, so me and having these conversations. So now they telling me now we're not doing all of that stuff that, how we used to bring it in through Cali. He said, we got a direct line. All you got to do is either get to Miami or we can get it here. You just got to have somebody who can, receive it, have a place to put it. So
and what's the ticket?
Well, now this is the crazy thing. Now is in the game, so it's about 89. The numbers, Rafel is on top now, so he done regulated the city at about 24 a key.
Right.
So that old number at 20 still ain't that ain't no good now. You know what I'm saying?
You need a lower.
Yeah. So when was like, man, Shorty, I'm gonna tell you, I mean, I can get us 24, but I'm gonna need to be somewhere close to,
18,
right. 16. So as soon as I go back and mention it to him, he was like, no problem. I give you the price here. He said, I give you the price here. You know what I'm saying? He said, whatever you buy, he said, if you buy it up front, when you get your money, I said, I ain't really got nothing right now. He said, I can give them to you for $8,500 to the door, but you got to pay up front. Watch this. But if I front you, it's going to be 15. So I was like, cool. It leaves me a little room. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't stay there long, but I got to 15. So he front me for 15. I think the first time said he could move 100. I'm glad he didn't send it, but they sent 50. He was like, man, we got to get somewhere to put him. So he had a guy that they had this old, I thought it was a bandit, but it wasn't. It was like an air strip. But he taught people. The dude he taught people. It's right there off of Woodyard Road. I took her by there. When we go to the farm, every time I go by there, I tell a story. You can look it up. A plane crashed on top of a house and it was cocaine everywhere. It was in the 80s. It's undeniable. They definitely, in my case, they blame that on me. But anyway, he gave us a hangar, dude, for $5,000 a month.
An airplane hangar.
A whole hangar. And what I didn't know is this wasn't an old beat down. It just wasn't a private airplanes parked on these. All of these hangars had planes in them.
Oh, my God.
So, I wasn't thinking this in this lane yet, you know what I'm saying? But like I say, I was with Squirrel. And Squirrel, he was. He knew what he was doing. He had cars with the seats that popped open and, so he would show me little things. Then finally, when the work came, you know, they pulled into the lot with the van, stuff like that. They broke it open. I was thinking I was gonna see stuff in the doors. Everything was under the truck. You know, they put the truck on the thing, raised it up, and what you thought was this covering this, everything, when they pulled the bottom of the truck off, the whole bottom was false, man. It might be 5 here, 7 there, you know, but it was 50, you know, and I just was like, he was all excited, like, oh man, me, I didn't care. All I was thinking was like, shit, I'm gonna make $7,000 times 50. You know what I'm saying? That's all I was thinking, like, okay, cool.
Holy
I mean, when
shit.
it's over with, this gonna be the biggest, you know, like take, because before I would be giving them money for like half up front, then it would be $375, you know, and then I'm making $225, then I started making $3. So I'm like $350 in one wop.
It's $350,000 alone.
Right. And see, this was the good thing with Squirrel. He had the money.
Right.
He had money. He, you know, he wouldn't spend it all up front, but he was like, man, whatever you get, you said whatever I buy. So he paid. Boom. He paid for half of them up front. Boom. So he gave him 25. He gave him the money for 25 of them. They happy, but they just like, you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? But because they don't, when they come drop it off, they just drop it off.
Yeah.
This
they don't
time
take the money.
You can't. They can't because they only had a lane to bring.
Right.
They don't want to burn the road back up in the same car.
Of course.
They just going back to the airport. They leaving. They're going to leave the car where it's at.
Wow.
And that's that.
And are you keeping him at the hangar?
Yeah, he's keeping them there, but he's doing what he want to do with them. This is the last time. Let me tell you something. And everybody will tell you, this is the last time I was going to be around this stuff. I thought anyway.
So you just thought this was a one and done.
Right. So after this time, like I told you, I had to set up a meeting in the Bahamas because they was like, this dude moved this shit in like 3 weeks, dude.
And that your connect is he's the guy that's moving it all for you.
Yeah. So yeah, with Squirrel.
Right.
Squirrel, yeah.
And he was stretching it into crack, or was he just dishing the bricks off powder?
Every single one, probably. If out of the 50, if he told me you never sell the powder. He said, bro, not until you up. He said, you just starting. And I understood later why he said that, because he could say that. I didn't have a client base yet. He was the end all for me.
Oh, so he was making more money than you were.
Yeah. So for a minute, you know, for a nice little minute. He had a nice run until I caught on.
Okay. What year is this?
Well, this right here, when it started there, this was around 90-ish, 89, 90-ish.
Okay, so that's the year Rafel goes down.
Yeah, and so that's I was going to get to that.
Right.
So when Ray go down, but see, people think that when Ray failed, that it was crazy. No, because it was always guys like Ron Brown that was getting 25, 30. You know, these guys tell these elaborate stories about Ray, but yeah, Ray was getting a whole lot of money, and he did everything they said he did.
Well, did Ray's distributors, when his whole organization went down, did his distributors get his connect, or was there a need for somebody like you?
Wasn't nobody gonna deal with them because everybody who came to DC got killed.
Right.
Everybody who brought work got killed. Even Alberto Martinez. Even when Alpo came, you got to remember, my homie Titus had him in the trunk. My homie Titus had him in the trunk. Alpo would never make it to snitch if Titus, you know. So, you know, you weren't gonna last long in DC unless you had to come there with it and give it to somebody, and let them. But you had to find the right person, a business-minded person that is still that played with them guns, because we was the murder capital then.
So do you think that because because Rafel was gone, you think the work was moving faster?
Oh, you daggone right.
Wow.
Because now you got to understand, Squirrel, you know, he knew everybody. He's the reason why I knew Rafel. He's the reason why I knew Wayne, Uncle Wayne. You know what I'm saying? How I knew Wayne Perry. All of the names in the city at the time, all of these guys, he knew them. He was their age. You know what I'm saying? So he brought a lot of these guys to my bar. Now, by this time, I meant to tell you, at 15 to 8 months, I got my driver's license, even though I was driving without it. And I also was in barber school, but Mr. Rowe thought that I can cut so well. He was an instructor at Bladensburg Barber School. He pulled me into his barbershop on Brinkley Road. Now, that's one of the charges you've seen in my case, that my barbershop played a part. But this is when I became popular, but not for drugs. Nobody ever knew me for selling drugs. They knew Squirrel. They knew him, you know.
Why? So Squirrel just had so much love for you? Because it seems like if I, thinking like a criminal, what good are you? I could just go to the Colombians. But you introduced him to the Colombians. I could just go around you.
He wasn't George.
He was just,
he was loyal. Didn't have, but see, this is the thing. Let me tell you why. Now, this is the story. This is what I was trying to get to when I was telling you about the plane thing. Now, watch this. the honest reason why I was never, to be honest with you, and this is the God honest, I was never supposed to be the plug. Squirrel was supposed to go with me to the Bahamas on that meet that I was telling you about.
Okay, got it.
And this is what happened. And this definitely was 90. So he was supposed to go with me, and he was supposed to take his wife. He was supposed to take his wife, and I think he was supposed to take their son at the time, or whatever child he had at the time. You know, they were supposed to go over there, meet him, sit down and talk, like I ended up having to do.
Okay.
Now,
so why did you have to go to the Bahamas? What was there?
Well, this became their base. Because
the Colombians.
Now, right.
I see.
Now they made a deal. They done brokered a 15 key a month deal with 90.
Okay. Who's the Bahamanian?
He is God
drug lord
over there. Yeah.
Got it.
It's him in Nassau. 90 was the man in Nassau. And it was some guy, I can't remember his name, but he ended up getting killed. Him and 90 ended up going to war.
Now, but why did you, if the bricks were just coming straight to you in D.C., why would you have to take the step to actually go overseas, to go to the Bahamas?
Let me tell you why. Because the reason why I was paying 15 is the cost of transportation. And this is what Squirrel taught me. He said, man, why are they charging? He said, that's a good number. He said, but they came down off of the 25 down to the 20, you telling me. Now they went to 20 so that now they went down to 15. He said, dude, it's some play here. He said, what's driving the cost? So I asked him, like, what can I do to get the number down where we can just make them so they fly? They was like, well, you got your own transportation? So I was like, hey, nah, I don't know how to get nothing. But they said, but if you can get it from the Bahamas, he said, even if you get it from Miami, you can get it for like $3,000 or $4,000 cheaper.
Right.
Because they killing us for all of the Virginia states, all of the Fourth Circuit states. People don't know. Once you leave Florida, you get to Georgia. Then once you leave there's South Carolina, North. Now you're in Fourth Circuit.
$1,000.
It's $1,000, $2,000. It's going up.
Yep.
Yeah, so the price is going up for that. So now we starting to try to find somebody. We got this hangar. We just ain't got no plane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I ended up working in the barbershop. This played a big thing, and I met a guy. Now he's my co-defendant. There's nothing I can do about that. My co-defendant named Rufus. You've seen his name, and Rufus used to cut right beside me in the barbershop, and his cousin Edward, his name was Ed. Ed taught me the real estate game, but Ed liked to play with his nose too. So Ed used to get some white from me every now and then, some powder here and there. I'd do something for him just for him. And Ed told me, man, I'm buying a house over in not Nassau, but Freeport. And I said, for real, man. So he found a house over there. He ready to retire because what he was doing, and this right here ties into all of the, he played a major part. Yeah, he's the reason why I ended up shipping through the Bahamas and getting the number that I got. Ed bought a house over there that he was renovating. He met a guy over there named Kimosabi. That was his nickname. So,
Kimosabi?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's the weirdest name in the world.
I'm well aware of Kimosabi, dude.
Yeah, I didn't even want to, but anyway, Kimosabi, he hooked a big fat, he said, man, if you come over here, I'm going to hook you up with somebody. He was talking about 90, and I'm glad I didn't go over there because he probably was trying to snatch me or something because, remember, Freeport was beefing with Nassau. I ended up never going over there, but Darren said, nah, I don't want to mess with him. So Ed said, nah, I hit a man that you need to mess with. I'm doing some business with him. He was trying to buy a hotel that I guess 90, if he didn't own it, he controlled it. So Ed was like, I'm going to go over here because Ed had all this illegal real estate money. He went to Baltimore, bought 1,000 houses, literally, for $1. Him and one of the dudes he met over there, the Colombian dudes. Right. And they did fake appraisals on all of them, dude, for $100,000, dog.
Wild.
You get what I'm saying?
He made out like a bandit, yeah.
So they both you can read up on that too.
So they were basically on the run. They were fleeing to the Bahamas after a huge fraud.
So now that he got to set up, a revenue stream of money. I said, if you make this work and you telling me I can get these things for less than 10, told him we'll give you a point or two off of each joint. We don't care.
Right.
So Squirrel was going over there, but Squirrel at the last minute backed out, dude. I don't want to do it. I can't do it, man. What if it ain't, I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? We already getting, nah, I just don't want to do it. So he chickens out. I go over there. I take my real wife, dude. I take my...
You're 16?
Yeah. But this is not my wife at the time. Tammy not my wife at the time, but I ended up marrying her. But I ended up taking her over there with me. Me and Tammy go over. We're sitting in this apartment with an old dude named, let's just say his name is M, So we sitting there with M, and M tells me, man, is your guy can't never come over here. He talking about him. If he come over here, we're gonna do this, and that's some bullcrap. Because later on, this is how I ended up locked up. But anyway, it was disrespectful for him not showing up. So we leave there and we go to it was a hotel. They didn't have the Grand Bahamas with that Atlantis hotel at yet, but it was another hotel that was kind of similar to it, but they knocked that down to build the Grand Bahamas. We went there, went to the top floor, and when I went in this room, dude, I'm talking about this dude had everything. Like I can't even believe it's people like black men living like he was living. I only met him one time. I only met the guy one time, and I was skinny, just tall, curly head. He's like, man, what happened to, I explained to him why Squirrel didn't show up, what I'm saying? He said, yeah, let him know he can't even come over here for vacation, stuff like that, talking like they would do something to him. So I was like, cool, but I was explaining to him about the number. And I was saying, man, we got dudes coming down from up north, New York can compete. If I'm paying 15, you know what I'm saying? They selling them for 17, 18. Right. So they got to be, I need to be able to sell to them too. So he was like, well, how much cash do you have up front? I was like, well, I mean, I got a couple 100,000, you know what I'm saying? He said, all right, so if you can buy 10 at a time, he said, I'll give them to you for 6, but it's going to cost you another $2,500.
To move them.
To move them to you.
I see. So it'll be 85 to you.
Right, 8,500. So now I can go 15 and I'm still comfortable.
Right. So I'm making
6,500 off a brick.
Yeah, 5,500 off a brick.
Well, now if 8,500, remember 6, then he putting 25 on it for travel, and I'm going 15. That's 65.
So you're making. So now my question is, why if he can just move them,
right,
and get them to the States, why does he need you? Like, why wouldn't he just charge you 15? Why wouldn't the Bahamians just charge you 15 if they can get them to the States successfully? Why would they give you such a good break?
Well, because I'm paying up front.
I see.
He don't even want that money. Oh, my bad. That money doesn't even go to them. That's what people don't understand. The money, he only wants 6 a key. That's all he wants. Everything over 6 at any time. 90 never sees any of this. What he explained to me. My number is 6. You got to remember, this is the same guy that's finding 100 keys floating in the water. This the same guy that's, got kids out there every time somebody got to cut a rope.
Right.
Griselda and them is tearing the show up right now. And you talking about 1 out of every 3 boats is getting hit.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, they can't feed these boats. So all he wanted is 6,000 a key.
So he was basically selling you free cocaine.
Yeah. And do you know how much a key of coke cost them in Colombia? Like $475, he told me, man.
Yeah.
But getting it from there to him, that's where another $1,500 is tacked on.
I see.
The Panama Canal, he said you got to pay every place it's stopped. Right. That's where you got to pay. So
now, what happened to your Colombians at this time? Were they dealing with 90?
Now watch this. Yes,
okay.
And this is what I was trying to tell you. They all along, he didn't know that I was the person. He didn't know. They just knew that it was somebody in D.C. that was moving this and that they owed money. So 90, it wasn't even that 90 was dealing with my father. No, 90 wasn't even big enough then. My father was dealing with somebody totally different then.
Okay,
now my pops is dead.
I get that.
6 years.
I get
years.
that. So why would the Colombians just tell you to go to the Bahamas? Wouldn't they want to keep selling to you?
No, they wanted. Yeah, they did. They wanted me to meet with 90. My bad.
Right.
They wanted me to meet with 90.
Okay.
To meet with him because he's the one that had the lane.
Right.
And the lane was, it was a vacation company, Apple Vacations. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
They're still in business, but they had somebody on their custom side that was letting us give them $25,000 a month. For $25,000 a month, they turned their head, and whatever that pickup truck, box truck, took into that private hangar, they putting on that plane.
Okay. Got it. So the planes, whose planes and
okay, at first they were Apple Vacations.
Okay. But what is that? Like what does the company do? They give plane
all
tours?
They do. No. All Apple Vacations do is take New Yorkers, Californians, and they put them on a boat or a plane on their Apple Vacations plane and fly your ass to the Bahamas.
Okay, so it's just a private jet company.
But they're not even just that. They're more of a vacation company. Like say, women who set up those businesses where they plan your vacation for you.
Yeah.
It's Apple Vacations.
Oh, wow.
So no matter where you go, it's just in the Bahamas at this particular time, and they may have changed it now. you only needed an ID and, another form of, identification, birth certificate or whatever, social security card, and you could just go through. It was nothing.
Right.
But you went through customs in the Bahamas.
I see.
So if you can corrupt the Bahamas, which the whole Bahamas was corrupt at this time.
Of course.
And the dude that I was giving the money to, I didn't even know. I overshot, because I'm young. I'm thinking I don't know how to gauge 25,000.
Right.
That's $300,000 a year. But I didn't know this, and I didn't care. All I know is they said they can send anything. So we tried it. The first time when I went over there, I went by myself. I went to go meet him. Like I say, Squirrel backed out. He backed out. He didn't want to. He didn't do it. I went by myself. So now,
how did you get your money down there?
Okay, now I'm gonna tell you, the money goes the same way. You go to Baltimore, when you load the ship. I used to give my wife the suitcase, the big suitcase with the money. You know what I'm saying? It's all hundreds. They turn sideways, and it's all around the side. She walk right in. They'll take the bag, look at it, check the tag, check her. She walked right past them.
So you're on a cruise.
They went on a cruise ship. You can go on a cruise ship or the plane.
Wow.
When you go into the plane, you put the money right there. And I'm telling you, you put the money right on the thing. Wow. They weigh it out because you got to remember, they go right through. Right. They're not looking at it. It's wrapped. It goes right through. Everybody was shipping their money like that.
How much money were you sending down there?
The most I ever did in a suitcase back then probably was maybe $700,000-800,000.
Holy shit.
I didn't know no better. I mean, we never got caught though. You know what I'm saying? You see that in my paperwork. We never got caught.
Okay, so now you've got units for 8,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I only can get them what I buy. Now, when they front me, still the number's still crazy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The number, it wasn't crazy at that time, but it was still 15.
Okay.
So,
but that's a huge.
It's still
That's a 3.5 is like that's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting them for 8,500 total with the freight cost, which is paying
everything.
This customs guy.
Right.
That's the route.
That's the route. And that's the reason why I had to go there to deal with that. Once I was there, they were scared to approach the guy.
Right.
But the guy was cool. He was sitting in his, it was a restaurant called Mojo Bones. I'll never forget. And we were standing at the Grand Bahamas Hotel. You walk right across the street to Mojo Bones. And Tammy, Tammy, all my women was a little bit older than me. Tammy was almost 2 years older than me. So when we went in there, she was the only one that, she did most of the talking. She spoke a little bit of, the dialect over there, the Spanish dialect that they were speaking. And the Bohemian dude, he just spoke regular, island, but, you can understand. But the Colombian lady, when she was talking, she was explaining to the guy what they needed. And I guess they worked that out. I didn't know. I didn't understand what they were saying. But, Tammy basically relayed to me that they were saying that the Spanish guy was saying that anything that they needed, anything that can go through, anything they bring, they don't need it to be looked at, manipulated, or anything. Just need to go through. He said, as long as that truck get there within a 3-hour period, within that 3-hour period, they can come in and out. And they just go. So that worked out later for when we ended up getting Edward at plane.
Okay, so you got the kilos on the truck. How many units do you start with?
Well, when we first got them, we started with about, I think the first shipment that came after the 50 was straight 100.
So you got 100 birds.
Yeah, we got 100. They never shipped anything less than that. And after a while, they wouldn't ship anything less than half a ton.
Okay, hold on. So you start with 100. They load it onto this jet.
Yeah.
Are the passengers, the customers of Apple Vacations on the jet?
Everybody's on there. But you got it. That's the thing. Whoever you send with the money, they have to go. They going on vacation. So most of these people don't touch the bag. The bag is locked. It's
So you have 100 kilos is 200 pounds.
Right.
So are the workers? But nobody's searching the bag. How big is this jet? Compare it to
okay, let me tell you. See, people who've been on it, they gonna know though. So the Apple Vacations plane is one of those planes that you've seen on Final Destination. It got the rows in the middle. It's big, dude. It's the rows in the middle. It might be like what's they call that? A Boeing, like the 767 or whatever.
Oh.
It's the rows in the middle, and then the seats on this a bunch of people. When you go.
Oh, so this is an airplane. This is not like a private jet.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you. They full of crap, man. They know that these people are doing this, man.
Right.
These planes are full of drugs, dude, because the duffel, I'm gonna tell you, the suitcases we had were suitcase a little bit bigger than they was wide, but you pull them with the little handle and stuff like that. But they had the bricks in there. They were still bricks and everything. When you open the suitcase up, if the police was to manipulate it, you didn't have to. As soon as you open it up, it was keys right there.
Right. And So you've already gone through customs,
right?
U.S. customs in
right.
the Bahamas. This is why this is such a lick, because
when you get off the plane, you
right.
walk straight out to your car.
Right.
You walk straight out. Nobody touching you.
Okay. So where does the plane fly to when you guys unload? Where does it land?
Well, it was landing back then. We would land we never went to Virginia. We didn't play with them because
So they didn't go to your hangar?
No, they didn't go there. Not yet.
That would be really cool.
No, it didn't go there
yet.
Is
that coming?
Okay. It's in the paperwork, man.
Okay.
So
okay.
They used to land at BWI, and and when it comes up Baltimore, so when they come in, this is what they do. This is how the ticket to it. A lot of people go over to the Bahamas, they buy massive amounts of liquor because everything's duty free. Right. Now, this is the ticket. I didn't know. They would take the red tape. Whenever a suitcase has been searched, they strip that red tape around it. 1, 2, 3, and it says customs. Nobody's touching that. If somebody was to literally touch you with one of those suitcases and there was nothing in it, you could sue them, because why are you touching me? I haven't had, since customs touched this suitcase, for you to touch this suitcase, customs is putting drugs in it.
Right.
See, so that's why the first time that, we brought something back, I did it myself. You know what I'm saying? The first trial.
You're picking it up at
right,
BWI.
But I went over there, but I went on a regular flight. They told me you can take a regular flight, but it don't matter how you go over there. You're coming back Apple vacations.
So you were on the plane?
Yeah, I came back, but they gave me the box. I only came back I was too scared. I only came back with 2. And it was like a small, it was an alcohol box. It was like some kind of sweet rum. I don't drink, but it was like one of them rums that's white. I don't know if it might have been Kahlua or something, but it was some Jamaican rum. And they had it in a box, small box. Mm-hmm. It was wrapped up. Now, I never seen this. Now, understand, when I come through the plane, I'm getting on the plane, in the Bahamas, you walk up the steps. They don't have that ramp, back then you walk from the ground on the tarmac and you walked up the steps. Mm-hmm. So when I came on, they had back there, so the dude came up, they had opened the sleeve up now. He came, they opened the sleeve up, and they was calling out all the people's names who boxes got pulled by customs. Mm-hmm. Back then, if you had a certain amount of stuff, they would pull it. Anything you had to declare. So you give them the box. So I'm giving the box to customs. Now I'm handing the box to the police.
Yeah, in the Bahamas.
Yeah. They take it, you get on the plane, they come back and bring you your box on the plane.
I see. After they've searched it,
yeah.
Right? But your guys have already been...
They're loading it. They did everything.
So does the customs know, are they in on it, the custom guys you've given it to, or do you even know that?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
That's why I believe that's why I got the time I got, because I wouldn't snitch. Yeah, they definitely knew. Okay,
got it. So... Perfect. And then you landed at BWI. Somebody picks you up?
Yeah. As soon as I get there, Squirrel or whoever, he's still sitting outside. I walk straight out, put the box, put my luggage in the back of the car, and I pull off. I got 2 bricks the first time. But then, fast forward when the 100 keys came, it was crazy.
So this is a lick.
No, and we keep doing it every month.
Who do you send now? Who's on the plane?
Now this is the thing. Now these names I can say because these are the guys. These are my boys. Now, the first trip, I told him what happened. I told him my experience, because I always say, I always do something first, even in prison. If I'm not going to send you to do something, I won't do it. So I said, I went and got it. I came back with the 2 keys. Y'all see it.
Right.
Shit was good. It was good, you know. So I sent my co-defendant.
And your distributor is now Squirrel. You're still giving it to Squirrel,
he's the
right?
number 1, but he's about to be just one of them.
And you're giving it him... His ticket is 15 now.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
he owes that. Yeah, so he
so 85. So you make a quick. So that's 3.5. So it's a quick $7,000 just for passing it off.
Yeah,
got it.
That's
it. So times 100. You're making 700,000.
Making a nice
haul.
Little, and that was nice. It was cool. But understand, I don't even the first. You know how it is, dude. You don't see that money because the money is still owed out. Once you get the money that you owe, you put it in the hangar. You know what I'm saying? If they come, or you put people on the plane and they go take it over there.
Okay, so you were sending the money back also on Apple vacations?
Yeah, we had to.
Okay, now, so then...
That's the only lane we had at the time.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. So they would you would wait till the whole load got sold before... You paid for them up front?
Yeah, because they only came the same time. It's like they was like rent, man. They would come like on the 3rd. First, they was doing it on the 27th, and then we took that break. When I came back from Virginia, they would do it on the 3rd. I don't know why. They would be like between the 1st and the 5th, but normally on the 3rd, they would come. It would be there. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether it was because they had to have a certain person off work in the Bahamas. You know how the schedule be.
Right.
They used to always say, man, there's a lot of things are moving that I didn't know,
Right.
But they had the people. You just had to... You had to be the person to go negotiate with them.
Right.
It was crazy, you know, and it was cool because, you know, none of them ever went to prison because I never.
So so 25,000 remained the cost to bribe the customs.
Yeah, okay. I never, that price never went up all the way until the day when I ended everything. You know what I'm saying? There was always that. I see. But you can get whatever you wanted.
Bro, those guys made out like that was the best place to be in the drug game. Yeah. It's just the guy working, taking the money to look the other way.
It.
That was, I think about in the Bahamas, those guys made millions of dollars, and just now they're living.
He took care of his little crew.
Yeah.
He the person on the ground probably got $250, man.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah, they're all getting paid.
They're getting paid because you knew, because like when I came, like when I would come in town, it was a different. Like I noticed the first time I came over, nobody knew who I was, but like of course, like looking at the records, I've been over there 200-300 times. They knew you. They knew what you were doing. They knew who you were. You know what I'm saying? But
okay, that's my question now. So you've got like your boys making the trips with the cocaine, 100 bricks at a time. Yeah. How is that not sketchy? You know, young black guys, single black men, or just single guys in general. Well, no, how do you stay under the radar?
They take the girls with them,
right?
And it's not. You got to understand. Every time they didn't do Apple vacations, like I told you, they would only come back on Apple. So they probably was disappearing them on the route. I never knew. Only time they got caught, like they was able to show, like when I sent you the records, when you see the flight records when they got caught, it's because we started using regular flights.
Okay, got it.
We started using regular flights.
I was going to ask that. So you're on the flight logs going to the Bahamas on a commercial flight, but then there's no record of you coming back.
Yeah, you come back on Apple vacations. And you know what I'm saying? It's like you missed the plane.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is what you tell them. You missed the plane, but you ain't worried about customs because we got customs.
Right. So you're not dealing with the Americans at all.
No, they're Bohemian, but they're doing the American customs. It's the craziest.
That's crazy.
I didn't understand why we allowed that to happen.
I know, that's wild.
But when you go to Jamaica,
you just do our job.
Yeah, it's like
seriously. So they do that in Jamaica too?
Yeah, they were. Now I think they changed it, dude. Wow. Like, it was crazy.
That's insane. They're like, oh, these guys got it. Yeah. Hey, they'll handle security for the most powerful country in the world. We'll let these Bahamian.
It made no sense, man. So they would, you know.
Okay, so and the coke is moving.
Yeah,
Squirrel doesn't have any problem.
Nah, man. He's actually. This the thing about Squirrel, man. We call him Secret Squirrel because he always disappeared, know when to disappear, know when to pop back up. But he threw parties, you know, at the classic nightclub. We had Maisha and the Hip Huggers, all the go-go bands. So he go to these parties, and of course, you know, he throw the party. One of his men about a bar, you know, that's how you get known. So he knew all of the girls, and all the girls knew all of the guys. So he always say, I knew everybody. I knew the YNs for my era. They started getting money in a major way. Like, you know, when my partner Cedric, you know, that's when all of them came to play. You know what I'm saying? Like in the 90s, like at this time, how we was actually moving it, he would give, he did the same thing they did, whatever you buy. So if somebody came from Connecticut and they bought 5, or New York, they bought 5, he funded them 10. He gave him 10. He gave him 10.
And what was he must have had the lowest price, right?
Yeah, he always had the lowest price.
At 15, it's...
Yeah. He was killing it,
You could still sell it in New York for 18, 20s.
He was going 17, 5, 18, sometimes 20, you know what I'm saying? Because ours was better. You know, it was just, we never had problems with supply. We never had a drought. Like in 96 when the drought hit, we never had a drought, you know what I'm saying? Because it was coming straight from the Bahamas.
And so you never had to test the coke? You knew that it was unwrapped?
Let me tell
you. You had not been touched since Colombia?
Oh, yeah, it hasn't been touched. Now, every now and then they had a guy that would hold the bricks before. Like, say if they took him 50 or 100, he would hold them at his house until it was time to deliver them to the airport, you know, whatever shift that they had to take them in. He started doing this BS where he would take like an 1/8 out or a 6. Like somebody's not, and I, you know, I complained about it or whatever, but eventually, you know, they ended up sending him over there, and I had to show him like what happens when you do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because now I'm just going to call back and lie. If you took an 1/8, I'm going to say you took a 1/4.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to hurt him. You see what I'm saying? I didn't care. I wasn't being greedy. It was just stop doing it, whoever's doing it, you know.
And your enforcement in the Bahamas, if you had a problem, was 90?
Yeah. I honestly tried to never complain to those guys.
Okay. So how did it go from 100 keys up to half a ton?
Okay. Now,
500, 600 keys.
Now, this is what happened.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that would be half a ton.
Yeah, that's half a ton.
About 500
birds.
Yeah,
500, yeah.
Right.
Oh, so this is what happened. Now, Squirrel had a plug that he was dealing with from either Connecticut or somewhere up north. It wasn't New York anymore because we was dealing with a guy named Black from up there that came down, and something happened to him. I think he got locked up. So his Connect used to send him like 40 keys. It was always 40. And they looked like footballs. I swear, they would be like this aluminum looking stuff, and they were shaped like footballs. So I think they were literally shipping these things inside of footballs.
Wow.
But by the time they came to us, I didn't think they wanted us to know it. And I kept telling them, dummy, they're not going to tell us this because then we'll know their lane. But dude, each key was shaped like a little K-12 football.
Wow.
And they would, it was broken up, but it was shaped into a football. So I said, that's how they shipping them. Because back then they would put them in the tiles of the roof and all of that. We started doing all of that type of stuff too, but that was later. But so his Connect, something must have happened up there. I don't know. He disappeared for a minute. And by this time, I didn't know, unbeknownst to me, my guy said he was selling a little bit of crack. Nobody in the city had powder. They were selling crack. So he was doing a little something, buying ounces. It was a guy named Ray from our neighborhood. And, he probably was getting maybe an eighth a key or a quarter key, 9 ounces, 3.5, maybe 4.5 to 9. And, he would get it probably for, $3.35, selling ounces for, back then, sometimes he would go up as much as 12 if it was a drought. But, 2,000, then he'd drop it down to 12 to 1,000. And I kept telling Sid, I was like, man, why you keep messing with that clown? He said, because, man, this stuff pure. I don't want to mess with that stuff the Squirrel got because Squirrel be whipping it. Now, this is the thing. Even though Squirrel was my man, he would take me with him when he whipped. But I didn't understand what whipping meant. I thought it was just taking a key, converting it into a key of crack. And I was like, y'all selling it much cheaper, man. I don't want to do that. I'm going to lose money. He said, nah, man, when you whip it, you get back the extra grams. And he was the first person. I've seen guys cooking on top of the stove, make it look like popcorn. He was cooking in the microwave, dude. And he was using the big Pyrex. And this is where we went from 100 to 500 because he would take the big Pyrex, the biggest one. He'd get the oversized conventional microwave, and he would take a cake mixer, man. Watch this. See, people don't really realize. I learned this from being over there with Uncle Pablo, that cocaine ain't nothing but a liquid anyway. It's a paste. So he would break the coke up real good on the in the Pyrex. Then he would take just enough water, man. Just enough water to make it sudsy. You chunk it with the ice pick, boom, 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 and it'd just be sudsy. You're not putting a lot of water in it. Then you would take baking soda, whatever amount. Now, this you had to be careful because unlike what I hear not a lot of guys talk, they're not telling y'all the truth. I'm going to tell you because this is how you stretch your money. They would take the Coke and whatever you wanted to bring back. I heard a guy say 3 keys. Nah, we never did that. If you put 1 on 1, it's going to be trash. Because it was good Coke, but you just can't do that. And people going to smoke it, it's going to leave a black residue. Yeah. So to make it good, no more than a half a brick. We started out, the formula was a half a brick. You put it in there, you put 500 grams. If you're cooking a quarter at a time, which he taught me. At first we did eighths, it would take too long. It would take us literally 3 days to cook it. So he started cooking a quarter at a time. So you'll take 250, put it in there, boom, chunk it up, wet it. Then you'll take eighth a key, 4.5. You take 9 ounces, put it in there. Then you'll take 4.5 and drop it in there, baking soda. And remember, it's only enough water to make it just a little soupy. Yeah. You put the whole mix in the microwave, set it on 5 minutes. Man, in about 3.5, you're going to see bubbles. In 5 minutes, every bit of oil is going to be brown oil floating. It ain't nothing but oil. And all you're going to see is the baking soda at the bottom of the Pyrex floating. The Coke is floating over top of the baking soda. You take this cake mixer. Johnny, put both of the blades on. Ooh, you hit it. It's hot. Right. You whipping it. You got the sink, you got the water, you got the ice. You whipping it. As soon as it start looking like cake mix and you see them lines, he tell me, when you see the lines, it's time. It's Duncan Hines time. You take the whole jar and you put it in the sink. It's going to lock up. By the time you take the cake mixer out, you just see, you could take the cake mixer and do it over top. It'll be like the icing. It'll just make a design on top. So it'll make it look like you dropped it in water and it just folded. But really, you whipped it. Now, when this cookie, you take the water, you take the ice off it, you dump it off, you take your little razor blade and you cut around the edges, the whole cookie come out. It's circle.
Wow.
Now, remember, you put 250 grams of powder in there. What you got looking at you, though, It's 375 grams of crack.
So you just earned 125 for free.
4.5.
Right.
Exactly. So by the time you finish, you got a half a brick of hard.
Right.
That's where the money came.
Okay. So off of 1 kilo of powder cocaine, how much just in grams, off 1,000 grams of powder wholesale that you brought back from the Bahamas, how many grams did that 1,000 become?
Of crack?
Yeah.
1,500.
Okay, got it. So you were basically, 50% up. So you
Now I'm
turned.
getting a whole key and turning it into a key and a half.
Right. So off 100 keys, you got 150.
Please know it. And it's never been a time like, if I let Squirrel do it, it's never been a time he's putting less than that.
Wow.
Now, sometimes.
And then he's selling the crack, kilos of crack wholesale?
Yeah, for sure. But back then, wholesale was 24, dude.
Wow.
So he's making 24, but you got to remember, we still making the amount. See, this was Squirrels. He's a genius, man. Now that I think, I was on the phone with him earlier. It's crazy. So he said, we're getting 36 ounces. We going back to the day when the key back in the day was to buy a key for 24. This is what everybody wanted. My first key for 24, but you got 36 ounces. You got dudes on the streets, you sell them to them for 1,000 a piece. So now you're taking 24,000, you're making 36. Yeah. But this was a way to make 36,000 without having to pass out no ounces.
Right.
But you making everybody independent now. Now they can do it.
Right.
So now a key that you would have had to sell for 24, you can sell for 20. You can give him the whole thing for 30. Why do you care? He's paying me 15.
Right.
He's making 30,000. He's making more than me.
Right.
I'm only making 6,500. But now I went in.
Oh, it wasn't enough for you.
Yeah, because my thing was this.
But you had millions of dollars.
Yeah,
already.
I wanted to retire. When I retired, I watched them.
What year was this?
Now,
how far
by the
into
time,
the
okay,
game
now by the time we
this?
started getting that amount, it was 90. My brother got killed in 95 in my apartment. Robert, about 90. Yeah, I'm gonna say about 95.
Okay, so and you were actually getting 500 kilos from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Okay, and that
But
would be.
I wasn't getting it. I was giving it to the people.
Of course,
but
500 was 500 was the lowest. That was the baseline.
It was no more coming back. And what we would do is, because you can move a certain amount, like when we was moving 500, they would like throw 10 or 15 in there. It would be extra.
It's crazy.
I mean,
and there was never a drought.
Never. You would never see nobody ever say we didn't have coke. We have always had.
500 kilos. How many suitcases is that? That looks so sketchy, you know?
Yeah, but see, the funny thing, it's not even a suitcase anymore. By this time, it's bold. See, because we skipped over the part, like I was telling you about what Kemosabe did. Kemosabe, after the dude got killed over there in Nassau, Rufus's cousin ended up getting a plane. You know what I'm saying? They were selling one for they wanted like 400 over there. You know, it was twin engine Cessna,
right.
You know, wasn't nothing big, you know what I'm saying? But it was nice. And they wanted like 450. I told him I'll put up 200 grand. You know what I'm saying? He said he couldn't do it. So, you know, Squirrel said he'll put up 100. So it was like, okay, cool. It was like, we're going to buy the plane. So he got the plane. Ed already had his license. He got a boat. He got a plane. Remember, you got to remember him and the Colombian dude just hit a lick for like $100 million. Now they, you know, they about to tear their ass up. I might need to get him on here. But yeah, they about to get them. But
so now you guys co-own a plane.
Yeah,
together.
so now he gets the plane. And now he's flying the plane. Now, this is crazy.
Who's flying the plane? Rufus?
No, not Rufus. Rufus is on the plane with his cousin. Yeah, but
now why is that better? That just seems way sketchier and way more dangerous than being on a plane disguised as a tourist.
Well, let me tell you why.
A tourist plane.
Because now that we got this, the way they was doing it then, all we wanted the plane for the first 3 years that we had the plane. For the first 3 years we had the plane, we only flew right into Miami. So sketchy or not, it couldn't look sketchy. You leaving from a private part, you still in customs. Private planes leave from customs. People act like they don't know that. They act like they don't go through customs. They do. Customs actually walk onto the plane and talk to you on the plane. They just treat you better than they treat you.
Right.
You know, you're not subjected to anything. Right. So they would come on the plane, which I'm just telling you what I heard because I never brought my ass nowhere near.
Right.
But, you know, Rufus said they would just come on the plane, ask everybody if they're all right. They'd be sitting there. But under the booth of that plane, man, the bricks is there. It
500 joints.
It might be more than that. See, this is a thing. Because now we own the plane, you got to understand the bottom line is everything. Anything else they put on the plane, I get a piece of. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we might got a 500 for us, but then he might have somebody who's gonna, you know, meet meet halfway, or sometimes Squirrel would take it for them up to Connecticut, or they got guys in New York. They might come down. You know, we work the prices out. So now you got to understand, if I'm getting 1,000 to 2,000 off of every unit, even if it's weed. One time they sent 600 pounds of weed. The person didn't come get it. I got it. They let me have the weed, and I just sold the weed for them.
Right.
You know, ain't one of them about $175 a pound. You know what I'm saying? The shit was dirt cheap. You know what I'm saying? So you come up like that sometimes, but I used to get a point off of everything that was sent. So I would bring 5, but they might send 1,500 keys because now 90's controlling it.
Right.
So he sent what he want. I probably was getting the least of it. I just get a piece off of everything that was coming.
Okay, so you still owned, so it was different people's cocaine.
Yeah.
Like that's
Just
how
put together,
smuggling works. Everybody puts their own shit
every
in
package
there.
together, and you using the lane. You got to
So you would you would own 500 and then get a piece of the other stuff?
of everything. So
this is, we're talking millions of dollars a load now.
Oh, it's no doubt. Now I need to find something to do with the money. So, you know.
Okay, so, right, and just because you're flying into Miami, all that matters is you cleared customs. That's all that matters, because unless you have a snitch on this end and the feds are waiting for you,
they don't know.
They don't know.
It's just like any plane landing. People think that, it'd be scrutiny. No, it's no scrutiny. Nobody was blowing up planes or doing nothing back then.
What if you could do this today?
I mean, believe it or not, I am
sick of doing this podcast.
No, don't do it. Hey, look, the funny thing is Squirrel said it, though. Squirrel said, man, be careful, man. You know dudes are probably still. I said, dude, if somebody's still using this after our case, I mean, you know, they might be, you know, because the police get tired. Once they think about it, people still doing, what's the highway up here? New Jersey Turnpike, coming from New York. How many people still bringing coke through New Jersey Turnpike? You know, they're not going to stop.
A lot.
You know, but if I was them, I wouldn't, because after my case, it was busted wide open.
I think planes are probably coming back because you see drug boats getting blown up. Like, they can't keep doing that forever.
You can't.
Like, you can't, like the police can't keep... Fatigue is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then they get distracted. They're like, okay,
then they go over here
maritime. We're maritime smuggling. Okay, well, we're going to go back to planes. Like, the game never stops, dude.
Yeah, I believe they probably still using planes, but they definitely can't do like we did, because sometimes, like you was talking about the money, we had to revert back because it would be times when it was too much. You know.
Right. Okay, explain that. So were you responsible, say like 600 pieces came through from the Bahamas, right? And just to keep the math easy, the money coming back was like 15,000 a kilo. So that's, you know, 5 times 5, it's $2.5 million.
Yeah, no doubt.
Were you responsible for making sure all of that?
Everything.
Okay.
You know.
So you were the one to get the money back to.
Yes, that was my job. Yeah.
Okay.
To make sure the money went back over. And
so how do you get 2.5 back? Do you just put it back on the same plane?
No.
Okay.
See, that was the tricky part. It was. You will read that on several occasions. We used to make these bodysuits. And it was crazy. We would buy nice clothes. We never sent a fat person. We used to like my sister went over there one time. We put $175,000 on her, because my sister has these humongous boobs.
Yeah. Island titties, we call them.
So we would have
Amazon.
So you know the money, the bags that you seal steaks in. The food saver bags, the same ones that my mom put our money in to put in the ground. And it works. It really works. You just got to get the right kind. So they come about this big. Dude, we do 5,000 stacks. Now, you know, in hundreds, that's about that big.
It's not that big, right?
So, you know, we put that in there.
Right.
We vacuum seal it. So now it's about that big. Then we put that around here. Boom. But that belt right there is 50.
Right.
We do 10 of them. Then we do it around here. But it's right up under her titties. Now, you got to remember, back then, you just walking through. You clear the metal detector. Ain't no bars, strip bars, you know, metal strips in the money, none of that shit. You know, these old, small faces. So my sister go through the metal detector, and this is what they tried to say we were so bold doing, because somebody got caught doing this right before I went to prison. So,
but how many times? But 175,000.
But we sending like 5 and 10 people, dude. Look, and that's why I sent you that. I know Brian was going crazy. I had 12 accounts. You know, a lot of them were in dummy names, companies. I was learning a lot of things.
Right.
You know, Acosta had a paper guy that was out of this world.
So you were still in touch with Pablo Acosta's people?
His people, but he had a very good, we just kept the document guy. Okay. You know, I had, like, when I was young, I had a ID, and she said, and one of my uncle, like somebody, like we called him my uncle named Donnell Mack. I had an ID in his name until the day I went to prison, like a real ID. I was using his credit profile and everything, buying cars and all that shit.
Right. So you're putting, but you were sending 10 money mules back to the
10
Bahamas.
sometimes just to get, if I needed to get $1 million, I might send 8 people.
And how much were you giving them?
Like $125 a piece.
125,000?
Yeah, I was putting. No. You mean how much was I giving them?
What was their fee?
Believe it or not, $1,500, dude.
Easy,
that wasn't giving them no money.
Right.
Fuck you doing? You just look, dude. You putting on a belt.
Right.
Literally, and I've done it myself, but I was just getting too fat. Yeah, you walking straight in there. Why are they gonna touch you? You know, and it didn't. We never even got this guy. We never got caught doing that until 9/11.
Right. Okay, so this is wild.
It was messed up. Man.
So you've got different bank accounts. You're getting into real estate.
Yeah.
Right.
And so now that's where they play. I'm getting into real estate, but I'm only buying. At first, I was buying houses, and I was just using the houses to hold coke, hold money, hold weed. People was wondering, why you got all these houses in Fort Washington? So I bought like 10 big mansions. They was nice houses, man. Fort Washington is like the Beverly Hills for black people in Maryland, man.
And you had 10 mansions?
Yeah, I'm talking about, I'm buying like, all of them weren't mansions, but most of them were like 4,500 square feet because they were going for like 125.
Right, why not?
Because even though Fort Washington at the time was the Beverly Hills for black people, but it was just like Coconut Grove, the highest rate of foreclosure.
Right.
So I was in with Coldwell Banker, a lady who liked to touch her nose. She worked at the courthouse for a minute, and she was the lady, the court clerk that I used to go in there, bring her a bottle of the liquor she liked, and give her $500 in the envelope, and she would give me the cheat sheet for all of the tax lien properties.
About what was coming on the market.
She would give it to me like 500 of them at a time, dude. Then after a while it would be 5,000, but I would give her the $500. She would give me the list, and I would know exactly when it matures. You know, they get I didn't used to get them and wait for the 2 years. You know, they get 2 years to come pay it, then they got to pay you anywhere from 17 to 22% interest. So I would go buy the houses right at peak. As soon as they come, I'll put my bid in like 2 days before.
And obviously you're a cash buyer.
Yeah, I'm back.
So
I get them every time.
And how do you buy a house with drug money?
All right.
Cash drug money.
Now, in 89, before we came all the way back up, my mom had another great idea. She decided to move back down to her hometown, but I encouraged her to do it, and I told her I would help her open a restaurant. So she had a restaurant called Tease. Look it up. I want you to make sure people look at it. She had it for like 20 years, dude. It was by St. Paul's College in a place called Lawrenceville, Virginia. And people will know it was a store down there. He was my only competition. It was a store down there. I'm thinking the name of it. But anyway, he was a white guy. Had all the coke in the world down there, dude. They caught him with a plane. He had his own personal plane, landed on his own airstrip with 200 keys. He crashed the plane or some shit and got locked up. But yeah, I can't think of the name of the store. I think of it probably when we do this show tomorrow. But yeah.
What does that have to do with buying houses
this
and
This is
cash?
what I was telling you. This is what I was trying to tell you. Okay, now, when my mom, she opened a restaurant, and Percy's, her restaurant was beside the restaurant. You'll see that everything is always connected. Her restaurant is beside Percy's, the clothing store. So we get her the restaurant. As soon as she opened this restaurant, the college dude is literally, you can walk down the sidewalk, make a left, go down the hill, come up, and go right. St. Paul's College there. It's thousands of students there. The restaurant, my mom can cook. The restaurant takes off, it's going. My mom deals with nothing but cash. You know, ain't no credit card machine. It ain't none of that, cash. So now I'm telling my mom what I need. You know, she's making money hand over fist. The restaurant opening at 6 o'clock in the morning. She feeding the truckers going out. So now anything we need, we running it through moms. So now back then, you got to remember the banking laws was really, now it's not. People think that it's 3,500. Anything over 3,500 triggers them. They just don't make you fill out a CRT form, cash report transaction. But back then, anything under 10 grand, you know.
Right.
So we would give our mother exactly $9,900, $9,999, you know, whatever. I would just give her, always give it to her.
She would just run it through the restaurant.
She would run it through the restaurant.
And so then if you wanted to make, years later, you're buying foreclosed houses with cash, you go through her company?
I go through either my mom's company, but by this time, you got to remember, I bought the barbershop that I worked in for years. Roosevelt Johnson sold me that. I think I had the picture of the cashier check. He sold me 10 chairs, dude. This is how mad he was at the other guy that owned it with him. He sold it to me for $8,000. And he went to open a Christian shop on Allentown Road. But so now by this time, 95, 96, I was working in the barbershop. But Road was talking about getting out, so I'm buying the barbershop.
Right.
We owned a detail shop on 86 Ritchie Road. That was Squirrel's place.
Right.
So, every day he's saying he was making $3,000 for
Right.
that. We just cleaning the money. But
okay, so I see. So then that money that cash, the drug money that's going into these businesses, then makes it into your bank accounts clean, and then you take the money in your bank account to buy
and whatever
the foreclosed houses.
That's it.
I got you.
But I'm just putting the down payments down. See, you put down the down payments. People kept saying some of them I bought cash, like my one in Florida I bought cash because that was what I was retiring to. But most of them I would just do what I learned over the years. I watched guys that sold coke locally, and everybody knew them. So I just they would buy these things, and then when the government come there, cash out, the government takes everything but the things you owe notes on. If you owe enough money, they don't want it. If it's not equity in it. So that's why I stopped doing that. Cashing out was cool when it was a 36-unit building and I'm renting out the Section 8 for $1,200 a piece and I'm making that $30,000 a month.
Right.
But it's not cool when you're still selling drugs and they come and they're going to take that building because
So how much real estate did you own while you were in the game? What was your real estate portfolio? It's big, right?
It was huge, dude.
Okay, let's hear it.
Probably at one time I've probably owned an accumulation of units, apartment buildings, probably 32 4 units, and I had a 36 and a 34 unit. Houses, as you saw, it had probably another 20.
Wow.
So probably close to 50 properties at a time.
God damn.
But
you were renting most of them out,
yes,
right?
mostly all of them. But maybe about 7 I was letting my family members live in.
Right. And then you were holding stuff in a select
it. And
few.
the ones that my family members lived in, I stashed shit in the attics.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I kept, I kept guns, coke, money, things like that.
Wow. So this route, and you never got raided during this time
at
all.
This
is what's so wild is like all this throughout the 90s.
They didn't know me.
You moved probably 100 tons of cocaine this way. Because you said you went to the Bahamas, 300 times?
Probably, yeah. Over 11 years, man. I might be, maybe. Yeah, at least. I stayed over there.
And you're bringing half a ton back. Yeah, it's 150 tons.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Okay, so this is going well. Why do you then find the commercial route where you're bringing it over in commercial planes?
Okay.
If you have this private plane route sewed up so much.
Now things started getting hot for Edward Cunningham. We didn't have enough money to cover whether he would get locked up there. Because now
who is Edward Cunningham?
Yeah, that's Ed. That's the one that showed me the real estate game, and they was looking for him. You got to remember, he stole all that money.
That's right. He was the guy that did the scam with the Colombian.
Yeah, they bought all of that daggone them houses in Baltimore and got the fake appraisals on them and stuff.
Right.
And it was genius. You buy something for $1 and get $100,000 at the bank. Cash money, dude.
Right.
And they bought 1,000 of them things, so they was looking for him,
But what does that have to do with you?
I needed a new route. He couldn't fly the plane, and I damn sure couldn't do it.
Oh, he was the one flying the plane.
We didn't know that. He had his own boat. Ed was that. He was really an island dude. This is what he wanted to do. But he was over there now because he had to be there.
Right.
But now he can't come back. We need somebody who can fly back.
Right.
So now it's to the point that we go back and talk to the guy at I ain't gonna say we. I went back and talked to the guy, me and my partner, and we go back to talk to the guy at the customs place, at the customs guy, and I was asking him like, would it be hard? Like if I had started a little record label, we had a record label called Backwoods Records, and we actually did some things. I was real close friends with Genuine, Genuine Elgin Lumpkin, and he actually lived right across. When you come out the front of my house, I used to ride my 4-wheelers up into the back of his house.
Really? So Genuine's a DC cat?
Yeah, Genuine was living literally.
That makes sense.
He lived right there in Brandywine where I lived at. Okay. He sold his house now, and I sold that house too. But that's the house on Tobacco Trail Lane, and we started putting stuff in like musical cases, the same way that the boy did for New York. We was doing it way before him. We would act like we're shipping, musical like the commercial flights. They gotta. When you get your luggage, how do I explain it? How did they explain it to me? The front bulk part is all luggage. It goes there. You'll see that comes first. That's where they get that on there. Then you'll see them coming and you'll see packages and things like that. People don't know this. Planes do the same thing that other people do. They they rent out whatever space they have on the plane.
Right. For freight, for commercial freight.
Commercial freight. So
right.
what we wanted to know was how big of a box could we put into the plane?
Right.
He said, dude, it doesn't matter. He said, as long as it is you can't put like 5,000 pounds in there, but if it's something that's 1,500, 2,000, cool. Well, we didn't need all that. You see what I'm saying? We just needed enough room for 500.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they started allowing us to put the plane, it's literally right onto American Airlines, right onto Delta Airlines, right onto.
Wow.
And
then what was the route? Was this always still going to Baltimore?
Nah, you can put it wherever you want it now.
Right.
See, this is where it got dangerous because now I'm just like, fuck this. Let me put 150 here. Send that so I can cut all of the middleman. Ain't no Ed to pay. It ain't nobody to pay. Once it get here, if it's 85, it's 85. I don't owe nobody nothing else. Now, now it's down to 7 because Ed is out the way.
So you just have to pay the customs.
Yeah, that's it. I'm paying him a month. Now that extra
that's just a lump sum.
Yeah, that extra 2,500. That's only 1,000 now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It was $6 for 90, and another $1,000 for them to get it just to put it onto the plane and do what they gonna do. The actual 90 people. But I still pay customs to let that get on the plane.
Right.
So now I'm getting it for 7. So I don't really care because I can now if you want 100, I'm sending it to you, baby.
So if I'm in Detroit and I'm trying to buy 100 keys from you, Delta. It's a Delta hub. Yeah, Delta will fly them to me.
You just got to have a guy who's going to be there to get it. Right. And all you have to do is have just like you have your baggage claim. It's called it's a freight. It's called a BOL, a bill of lading.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's flight and then it's ground. So now, so you take the bill of lading down there and you give them the bill of lading and then, they give you your freight.
And so it's essentially a scaled up way that I used to send FedEx boxes, right?
That's it.
So what ways did you disguise that with like LLCs? Like what did you say was being shipped?
Yeah, see,
and what kind of fake names, like how does all that work,
man,
right?
You ain't gonna believe this, man. We ain't do none of that. We didn't do any of that, man. I was smart enough to know that if they told me that we was clear, we was clear. He told me it wouldn't be touched. I put it in. I had my company at the time. It was Day Family, and it was investments. His name was Day Family Enterprises, but Day Family Investments. We did parties. We did everything.
Right.
Limousines. We did all kinds. We had all. I had. It was multifaceted. So I had a bunch of companies wrapped up in one. I would just send it to one of the companies.
Right. So you just have it.
It would be a box. It would be say it's a musical equipment going to the guitar factory, and it's not going to no damn guitar factory.
And then the bricks they're just in a big cardboard box.
Nah, it's in a crate. They was on a pallet. The same way when they got caught with in my case, it was pallets sitting in the courtroom of cocaine.
Okay.
602 keys in the courtroom. It wasn't even mine. I mean, it's sad that it had nothing. I didn't make a dime off of that.
Okay, yeah. So, and then how were you sure that it wasn't going to go through metal detectors or anything on the American end? How did you know that? Because
you got to remember, when it's in the Bahamas, it's already in customs. So this crate, it's in a wooden crate. You got to take the hammer, or even crowbar, take it, because this is stereo. Like it could be stereo. We might have it marked to be a speaker or a receiver for a big show.
Right.
Squirrel would make up all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It would be equipment, or he would say it's a shipment of some fabric that they sell over there, or some products from John Bull. Things like that. It was a store over there. We just did anything. It didn't matter because nobody was looking at it. When it came back to America, it was here.
Where were you sending them? What were the cities?
We didn't play with too many places, man. We never messed with LaGuardia. We left them alone because they was getting too hot. Right. We would do Miami. I've sent it to North Carolina. I've sent it to, one time I did Reagan and we almost got caught. Reagan National in Virginia. We never did, but most of the time it was BWI, and we would send it to Philadelphia. Philadelphia was wide open.
Why is that?
I have no idea, dude. They just was unorganized and unprofessional.
And then who did you have picking it up?
Well, they did that. Now, that's what we paid. That was 90 people. Whoever they had, like the people that they had that worked for them, he had hubs in every city. That's why if he could get it to D.C., people from that lane right there would be people from Connecticut coming, people from North Carolina, people from Virginia. So that's why I was trying to tell you, he would send the coke, but we would just let it sit in the when it started coming big like that, we would put it all in the plane thing. What you call it?
The hanger?
The hanger, yeah. We would leave the coke in the hanger. That wasn't ours. They would, Darn them would get what they want out of there, and Sid would get his, and then the rest of the coke that was there, it would stay until somebody came, or if they needed to go.
But I'm talking about who's picking it up from the airport. These are 90s.
Oh, yeah, these are 90s. Whoever get it from the airport in Baltimore, my people will go. It's whoever he send the bill of lading to. Now, if I had a guy that was going to be in Detroit, now the guy if you was receiving it, one of your guys would have to show up with a box truck. You know what I'm saying? We had to have his shit together. Now, we had to tell us the truck number, because you're not getting behind when you're going on to the airport, you got to have a clean record. You're not going back there with you had to be a clean record. Right. You had to have your CDL license, or if you had a box truck, it had to be less than 26,000 pounds for you to drive without it, but you had to have your shit on point. And when you were supposed to be somewhere, if the plane was coming in at 7:57, you were there at 7 waiting. Right. And you're not driving. You literally have to drive onto the tarmac, dude. You have to drive into the back gate. They come in. That's why they call it the clear port. And they'll park the box truck, and you set at this yellow line, and they'll tell you it's a wall, a knee wall. They come, they bring it, and they put it right onto. I mean, literally, the airport employees
put it on. The driver doesn't even have to get out of the truck. Did you think the driver a lot of times probably didn't even know what he was picking up?
No, he just was being paid. He never supposed. It was just like, you don't look in the box. It ain't none of your business.
Who are are these people different distributors that you guys have in different cities, or are these mostly 90s people?
Yeah, the guys that were like in Detroit and places like that, and like the New York, Philly and stuff. I knew some of the guys, but most of them were his people. Or if Squirrel had somebody up there, he would have somebody up there, because he was very industrious. He owned a lot of the trucks that went up there to get the stuff. So Squirrel take care of that. But he did all that.
And what about your end? Did you ever have to send your people to pick stuff up?
Well, that's what Kareem Bolden, that's what he got locked up for. He was a transporter. Him, Rufus Cunningham, Ed's cousin, the one that showed me the real estate game and hooked me up with King Wasabi, which I never dealt with. But he did make it, so I ended up talking to the old man M. So, he still was responsible for me getting hooked back up with the Bohemians and the Colombians.
So, and your deal's the same. Now you're getting it cheaper. You're getting it for $7,000 a brick.
$7 a brick.
And do you own 600? Are those all yours that you own, or do you?
Yeah, those are mine. Those were mine. Wow. But the thing was, I call them mine, but I took the money off the top. I just all I wanted was the 8 off the top now. You know what I'm saying? So once I got my money, it was really Squirrels, man.
So you stopped touching cocaine.
Yeah,
you weren't even. You're just collecting the money.
Yeah, that's it. I had stopped touching it, but every now and then I had to. It was like said, I had to eventually show him how to cook. Dudes how to cook, because Squirrel would go too far, like I told you. Like, he would try to do the thing that the boys said, double it up sometimes. If the drought hit, I'm like, if the drought hit and we got coke and I'm giving it to you for the same price, why are you raising your numbers? Wouldn't we get rid of it faster if you just kept the numbers the same? Right. But I understood, like, you capitalize off the drought, but that's not how I thought. I just wanted the units moved so we can start getting more. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But.
All right, so how long were you guys using commercial flights for before it eventually ended, right? It was 9/11?
Yeah, 9/11, 2000. I think it was September 2000 when that happened. And a month later, they changed the way they did the things at the metal detector, dude. Like, Kareem, he was just going over there. And see, this is crazy, but I'm glad he was doing this. He was just going over there to gamble, and he was taking like 31,000 with him, 32,000. But he did the strap thing. And I said, don't do it. Just put that in your bag and claim it, declare it. I ain't telling them people shit. He went. They hit him when he walked through. You got to remember now, the money's changing too. So what I didn't know is they had started turning them things up so sensitive that the bar, like, I guess maybe the bar's in the money, I don't know. But it went off. They used to wear like iceberg sweatsuits. So that, I made them wear sweatsuits or something, pants that were tight enough where you didn't need a belt, because we didn't want them scrutinizing. He went through, they said, nah, step up. And he was like, okay. And when they took the wand, the lady went down. I guess he had like a little wrinkle in his shirt. He said, she hit that bag, man. So I should have stopped then, but They took him in the back and they pulled the money off him. He told them, I was just going to gamble, man. They was like, well, why didn't you just declare it? Woo, woo, woo. So now, I didn't want to, after he told me that happened, he missed the flight that day. But they put him on a later flight. He went over there to gamble. And I think Robert Wilson, the rat on the case, he had called me from over there, something that they're never supposed to do, but he just called the flip phone. I used to throw him away after I used him for a day. But he called me and told me, man, Kareem didn't come when he was supposed to come. KB didn't come. He was like, KB didn't come. I said, what? So my thing was always, if the plan changed, the man changed, you know what I'm saying? But this was different. He probably couldn't call me if he missed the flight, So I knew he made it on time. He sent me the code for that. But, back then it was a text. He just sent the text that just said nothing, everything good, like, basically a code we had for thumbs up. So he ended up getting there later on. So I was like, damn, I wondered, is he compromised? So I didn't want him to bring anything back. I didn't want him to even be in the same, I didn't want him to get on no flight because he was supposed to take some stuff for me up to New Jersey, so Philadelphia at that time. And I couldn't use him. So I ended up having to get somebody to meet the guy up there to get it from this end, but somebody was supposed to be on the plane, you know what I'm saying? But Kareem, I flew him back home. When he came home, he told me the story. I got scared. But they wouldn't stop. I kept telling them, I think we compromised because, Kareem had been over there at this time probably 30, maybe 35 times.
So they'd flagged him and they were obviously looking at him.
Yeah, right. Because think about it, dude. Ain't nothing go off. Like if the money didn't go off last month, it's still this. I didn't know. He said they said he went off. So when they wanted him, so now that money got caught. Now we got my little cousin, he was about to go off to college, so he wanted to make some money before he went. Darrell. So I sent my cousin Darrell over. He had, I think he had the most. I think we ended up being able to fit like 200 on him. But they needed, for some reason, it was a guy that they had over there named Sammy, but he had did some shady shit with some money that I sent. So not to argue about it, I just sent the money, man. They was like, it was 200 short. I know all of this time I had never been short, So I sent Darrell over there. They hit Darrell, but they didn't. When they hit him, they only they hit his calf muscle. They got some money off of him there, and they hit like the waist bag. So when he lifted his shirt up, they couldn't see the other top part, but they just asked him what he was doing. And, he said he was in the music industry, he made up some kind of story, but they let him go. I should have, it's just saying they couldn't do nothing to him. It was just money, but I saw that it was getting burnt out. So we had to leave the messing with the flying on the commercial flights with the money, but we still could send the coke back. Right. So he said it's no problem. He said we weren't compromised, and we weren't. Right. We weren't.
So how'd you start sending the money back?
So now I had to start sending the money back the same way under the plane.
That's right. That's right. How much? And you're sending, what's an average re-up?
Well, at this time, it
couple mil, right?
Serious, yeah. It was like 3.5, dude.
Wow. All hundreds?
Yeah, hundreds and 50s. It was kind of hard. Sometimes 20s too, man. The money was heavy, dude. It started.
How do you get the money?
We had to put them in crates. We had to do the same thing, dog. Sometimes we were sending like 3 crates of money off.
And you're sending the box truck into the airport with the crates full of millions of dollars?
Oh, man. They said when they used to open the bag, They said when they used to open the freaking bag, dude, they said it used to smell like pure ass, man.
For sure.
But it worked, man. It was just like when they said it was a clear port, it was clear. They had it. We never got popped that way. Like, they never caught the money. They never caught drugs. They caught us on the ground with drugs. They had to do that when they caught it. But we never got popped until that.
And when did you retire?
Honestly, when I really got out of it, it was close to, because I always told people 96 because they had to fit my case. You know what I'm saying? But I literally stopped doing favors for people, meaning if somebody put up enough money to buy 100 or 200, I wouldn't order no more. Probably 2002.
Okay, so this is after 9/11. Now did after 9/11, like around that time, had it gotten more difficult in the Bahamas? Did they change anything up?
It got bad, period, because you got to remember, man, they was trying to fight terrorists. It was the war on terror, so they was tightening up on everything. Like,
but how though? Explain how in the Bahamas.
The airports would get tight where he would start telling me, look, man, y'all can't come. We got to wait till next weekend.
Your customs guy.
Yeah.
He was getting a lot more strict.
Because they were they was putting Americans with dogs in the air. So it was like everything was getting. They claimed that they were looking for weapons of mass destruction, man, but it just seemed like they was looking for drugs, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like, the dogs, I guess dogs can smell explosives or whatever, but ain't nobody doing it like that. They was putting it on their bodies.
Right, yeah.
Why y'all down there where the customs at?
Right.
So, I think they just was trying to figure some things out, but it got real hard, man. Like, it was like one time the guy called us, and we thought when my guy had got on the plane, we thought everything was good, and Squirrel and them was there to pick up the package, and nothing was under the plane. So, when I get the phone and I call, he said no. He said it. He said they had to shut it down.
Wow.
They literally had to take our crate off site and put it up somewhere. And then stuff started happening.
Right.
Bricks started coming up missing.
Everybody's getting scared.
Yeah.
Was 90 still moving? Was he still your guy?
By this time, 90 was in a full-out war, man. Like, we were still using the routes. We still had to pay to whoever his people were because we never, dealt with him on a regular basis. But he still got his money, but at the end of the day, I couldn't, I couldn't deal directly with him because I stopped going over there too. Because they was trying to kill each other. Him and that dude was trying to kill each other, man. And once he got, I ain't gonna say once he got him because I don't know if he killed him. I wasn't there, but the dude in Freeport was murdered, and then everything went to normal over there, but not customs.
Right.
So it just was getting ugly, and
yeah.
I was going through stuff with my wife, and it just was. I was just tired.
You
man.
had so much money.
Yeah, and then I was out. Yeah, I didn't need the money, dude. I didn't need the money. I was trying to retire. I was moving to Florida, man. I had bought the house, built that big house, and built my wife the house in '98. Then I was building it. When I built her house, because I said when I divorced her, because I was about to get divorced, I was going to give her the house in Fort Washington, and I was going to move to the big house in Brandywine and just bring the kids out there, visit me, and they take their ass home, So,
what about the Colombians? What happened to the Colombians?
Now, this is what happened. I told them in 2002 that, I felt like we hot. I'm going to need a break. Now, that's the one thing that...
And these are the same Colombians that have followed you since you were 11 years old?
But let me tell you. This
For real?
Yes. Yes, the Roach was still there. Now, the Mexican was still there. But the Colombians that came in they were under, the guys that was working, they wasn't under the Medellin no more. They was under the guys that you mentioned, the Rodriguez brothers.
Cali cartel?
The Cali cartel,
right.
Yeah.
The Rodriguez brothers, yeah.
Yeah, they,
And they're in prison, but they're, at 2002, they're in prison, but they're in Colombian prison, so they're still operating the business.
Man, that don't mean nothing because Fabio Ochoa was the last one out of all of that. Because Fabio, when Pablo got killed, Fabio and them, him and his brother, they was dealing with them boys too. So all of them, before they got picked up, they was still putting all of their shit on the plane too. You knew certain ones because they put symbols. People thought the symbols didn't mean nothing. The Scorpio was Medellin, and then it became
the bicycle.
No, it wasn't that. It was the Scorpio,
stamps.
The stamps. Yeah, it was a Scorpio. Then when it turned to the Texaco symbol, it was the Rodriguez brothers.
Okay.
They were putting the actual dude.
That
it was
fire.
dope.
Yeah,
it was a Texaco symbol. And listen, the only thing I did not like about that. One time we had got a shipment of it was 800 bricks, man. It was so over. And so I was like, man, Durham was like, Squirrel was like, dude, it's good shit. It's perfect. It was pink though. So they kept telling us, man, it's Peruvian. Don't think it's nothing wrong with it. But the thing about Peruvian Coke, it don't hold nothing.
Right.
So you try to whip it. I'm trying to whip it. And guys trying to whip it and bring back a half a brick, but you can't bring back more than maybe a couple ounces on the whole brick. But if you drop it, it come back. Every gram come back. So it just was good, for snorters. If we couldn't do nothing with it, so I would just make the points off it and then just get rid of it. But we had about 3 shipments like that. It was.
So then what? So these guys, the Colombians, never got caught that you had been dealing with since you were a child.
They
in the
never
80s.
got caught. The ones I can say. Pablo got killed. The Rodriguez brothers might have got locked. I never met them. Didn't know them.
When was the last time? When was the last time you talked to Pablo Acosta, the Mexican in Ojinaba?
Man, I think I talked to him the last time I talked to him.
Because he was killed in a raid. 87. He was killed in a raid by the Mexican army. He was set up by another.
The U.S. was there too. He told my father the U.S. was there, but they was over there fighting him. They was trying to get him before my father died. They was trying to get him.
Oh,
he was going to war.
He was long gone.
Yeah, he was gone. But the last time I talked to him, that was probably 80, probably 80, 88. I mean, no, 87, 80, right around when he died. But I mean, he was up, man.
Yeah.
He was doing bad. They was burning all this shit and everything, man.
Right.
And I couldn't do nothing for him.
So did you have a reputation? Because we're about to finish and then we'll go into part 2. Yeah. Talk about what happened to you after you retired and this whole odyssey of being sentenced to life and eventually, beating your case, getting your sentence commuted. Yeah. It was just, this is going to be so fascinating. But are you known in Washington, D.C. As like an elite drug trafficker?
Oh, yeah, now.
You are?
Yeah, I wasn't known at all before that. I was known as the best barber in D.C. Everybody came to me for haircuts. Look,
even when you were moving hundreds of bricks, people didn't know you?
No, because they knew Sid. And what I would do.
Who's Sid?
Yeah, that's my best friend. He's the one that started moving just as much as Squirrel.
Okay, gotcha.
So Sid is the one that was moving just as much as Squirrel, but Sid is like, he was the muscle.
Right.
He was shorter than me, but Sid, didn't nobody play with him. So it was like, nobody knew me, but they come into the barbershop like far as drugs, and everybody liked me because I'm a real amazing barber. So dudes that come up get their hair cut, and all of the big dope boys, everybody who was somebody came to me to get their hair cut.
Right.
But like Sid to leave out, and I'd be like, the kids would be, and I'd be like, man, y'all don't be sweating his cars. That how he got that stuff. I talk bad about him.
Right.
I did the same thing to Squirrel. I did it to everybody. So everybody thought I was against drugs.
So you never had an ego about it. You were just like, I want to be this invisible guy that's just dealing with 4 people, basically.
That's it.
Right.
And I had no other, to this day, my woman will tell you, I have no friends other than childhood friends.
Right.
Daryl Ware, Cedric Hall, Squirrel, him, James Reed.
And are those dudes all out?
Yeah.
And free?
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And all of the guys that I knew that I was dealing with in the street, except for 2 guys right now, I've gotten them all out of prison. Lafayette Watts, he used to sell crack for me back in the 80s. He got locked up for a senseless murder that happened down in Southwest. He used to run up under Wayne Perry and them. And, I literally spoke at his hearing when he came home, get him home, and the judge let him out, released him after 32 years in custody. To me, with no parole. I'm gonna let you get the video to that too.
Wow.
I'm gonna let you break that. It was amazing.
Did you ever meet Rafel when you were in the feds?
No, Rafel was. Believe it or not, Rafel was in Lewisburg. They would not let me go to Lewisburg because one of my partners was down there, and I was trying to get there, but for some reason I couldn't get to Lewisburg. They kept me away from home.
Yeah.
I was living in Florida at the time, so I was living in Orlando when they came to try to kick my door, and they couldn't. My door was reinforced.
Man, George, this is. Yeah, that is an amazing story, dude. Yeah. That is an amazing story. Rafel, I wish I could have met Rafel. Sounds like a cool wonderful human being.
He was a good dude.
But he wasn't bringing it into the country. You were bringing it into the country. You would have been Rafel's plug, probably.
Yeah, if Rafel wasn't so, because I had the capability. He was one of the ones I wanted to go talk to, but I was afraid because it wasn't that he was killing. Nothing them. The guys around him was crushing, man. They was crushing shit, man. They was killing everything, man. Right. And I just didn't want to get in that. Yeah. Like, we didn't have any murders attached to my case.
Right.
They had a gun that they found in my house. It was a police officer's gun.
Right.
But at this time, I had a carry permit, dude. I wasn't. He couldn't do nothing to me.
Well, I don't know of any other black drug trafficker, for lack of a better, from that era. Yeah. It's not being racist. It's just
it's the truth.
Yeah, I don't know any other black drug trafficker that was actually importing. Because that's the big. That's what separates the $100 million man from the $500 million man is can you get it across? Because that's where you save that freight per unit
every time.
Wow.
And the number, when I found out that over in Pablo Acosta was the one, I was young, but he told me like the pounds of weed that, the weed that he was growing, that was packed weed. But it was good. He was one of the first ones, him and then the other guys that did it over there in Chihuahua. They was getting the big full buds. But Pablo was telling me each one of those pounds to him is $50, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and he sells it for $150, and he just does that 2,000 at a time.
Yeah, but see, and when I got that mind frame, it's called quantifying, and I noticed that it's
called wholesale.
Wholesale.
Bulk.
But it's better. I told dudes, instead of trying to make $1 million off of one brick, make $1,000 off 1,000, you're gonna get $1 million.
Yeah, it's gonna move a lot
That's
faster.
it. 1,000 times 1,000 is $1 million. That's what I try to count it.
And they're gonna give you the same time, likely, anyways.
Yeah, once you get over 40 bricks, you're done. That's Kingpin.
Yeah.
That's and I started out with 30 or 40. So, and I was like, I really hate that I won't lie. I heard you say it a few times, and I used to tell Tracy, my woman, I used to tell her, I was like, I hate when he says that, but it's so true. I used to get so mad at you at the TV. You'd be like, I love that, the rush. And I get chill bumps now because it's like the first thing when you get out, people don't know the story, but it's like when I counted that first $1 million and I had $1 million, I cried, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I was a kid, bro, and I was always smart. And then when by the time I found out that I had Asperger's, I understood the numbers. My numbers, like my woman to tell you, I count all day. Yeah. I can tell her what everybody's payroll is before we sit down and do payroll. I do payroll for like 9, 10 people, and I know that money. If it's $18 an hour, he's a security guard in this section, he's 18, this one 20, this one. I know it's like, it's a rush, and I know what you meant. And it's something about getting away. When I came back with them 2 keys, it was better than, I didn't care. When I saw the first time I seen a crate open up, or I went into my apartment over in Southeast and I had 70, 80, 90, 100 keys in the closet. And I was just like, my cousin was like, man, what you gonna do with all that? I said, shit, that shit ain't nothing but, man, I make $6 grand off each one of them. I don't care. It's nothing.
Power.
But when I came back with them 2 keys, I felt like I was God. Mm-hmm. Because I looked the police right in the face and I knew they couldn't do nothing. What are you gonna do? This package with this marked customs, red tape. Yeah. It means that they searched it. So I even told the judge, do you feel right giving me all this time when y'all helped me bring? I almost felt like Freeway Ricky, man. Yeah. Y'all was bringing me these drugs. Y'all knew what was going on, but I just didn't snitch, so that's why. George May, Odyssey, man. Yeah. What a slept on story. And that's why we're the Connect, man. Yeah, we bring you the stories that others don't have yet. Yeah, that's it, man. Thanks so much. All right, you guys, we're gonna go do part 2, man, because the story doesn't end there. It doesn't end in 2002. It gets greater later. George, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Take care, guys. It was a pleasure.